Hello everyone. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day so far. Today we'll be doing some game dev. For those that may not know at this point, I am making an indie horror game called Last Call, where you are a 911 operator trying to fight back a onslaught of mimics that are trying to trick you into thinking that they're real people. And just like normal, we have a little bit of life advice, because at the end of the day, what was that phrase? There are only two people that you need to make sure is happy. Your 5-year-old self and your 80-year-old self. As long as you do things that make both of them happy, you're going to do just fine. We make a decision on our discussion on leaving gaps for the spread of mimics and whether or not those gaps should be filled, and as well as talking about narrative reasons why someone would stay with the main character until the end of the game. What makes a ride or die, right? Is it romance? Is it duty? Is it guilt? It's hard to say. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below, or in Discord, or I don't care. So hopefully you will enjoy the discussion. So sit back, relax, get some drinks and some snacks, and I'll see y'all in a second. Hello everyone. How are y'all doing today? Hey Ratty, how are you doing? Today is Tuesday, our game dev day, where it feels like it's been forever since we've done anything on here. There's certainly anything that's like game dev. I mean, technically everything we've been doing is game dev, but a lot of it has been more like figuring things out. It is actual like putting fingers to code. Hey Dragon, how you doing? How was y'all last couple days been? Pretty good, I hope. I'm still trying to catch up on everything. So I've been staying late, so if I sound a little tired, sorry about that. Hey Star, how you doing? But I didn't like keep up with making like the VODs and the videos and stuff for a hot minute while I was dealing with like the move stuff. So I thought I had like 4 videos that I had to work on, and I was like, oh, we could totally knock that out this week. I realized that it was 7. I am 7 videos, not including the video today, behind. So it's gonna take a couple weeks to get all that sorted. IKEA. Ooh, what are you getting? What are you getting at IKEA? I don't think I've ever been to an IKEA. Now that I think about it. Like when I'm trying to think of like getting furniture and stuff for apartments and stuff that I've lived at, I've always ordered it. Bunk bed. Got you. Okay. That's valid. That's valid as hell. No, like I've always got like certain dressers from like I've been to Home Depot than I've been more to IKEA. I have heard they make killer meatballs. This is true. I have heard that their meatballs are really, really good. Like similar to Costco and their hot dogs, IKEA and their meatballs apparently are like super good. And technically, it was the same deal with Walmart and General Tso chicken, though it's less known about Walmart and their General Tso chicken. Their General Tso chicken is so good. It's so honestly good. And before I moved, hey Silly, how you doing? Before I moved, they recently told me that they were stopping to sell the General Tso chicken at that Walmart that I go to, and so I didn't move because that they stopped selling it, but at the same time, I didn't shop there again, and I moved away. So correlation. Oh man, how you doing, Silly? Hopefully well. Today we're going to be doing some game dev. I'll have to figure out how or where we stopped and what we're planning on doing today, because I wrote it down, probably. I'm sorry, silly. Did it get any better from Sunday, or did it get worse? Surprisingly wild, stress sells good food. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. No, I'm so sorry, silly. I hope you get the help that you need. Nothing like the appropriate medication and a good therapist can help you get through it. But yeah, I hope you can have the support that you need to get through it. But I'm rooting for you. I wish only the best. Yes. Dodo hugs for you. But yeah. Didn't want therapy anymore either, since they weren't even helping me. Well, therapy is such a fickle thing that it has to be, you have to just find the right therapist. Like, therapy isn't the problem. Therapists are the problem, right? It's like you need to find the right person that you click with, and then therapy's amazing, right? I'm still searching mine too, by the way. Yeah, I think that what that says to me is get a different therapist. I wouldn't give up on therapy. I think therapy is very, very important, but it's similar to like finding the right doctor, where it's like, if you are to get help from somebody, it has to be the right person, and it's going to take a long time for you to find that person, and you just have to be patient, but it's worth it. I think it's worth going through trying to like weed them out, you know? Yeah, Dragon's right. There it may also not be the right type of therapy as well, right? Because I know there is also like CBT and stuff like that, cognitive behavioral therapy, which helps a lot of people. Thing is that so I don't respond when I'm angry or upset. I mean, that just sounds human, to be honest. Like, most people don't respond when they're angry or upset. Yeah, like, that's just a normal. Most people shut down. A lot of people don't react well when they're angry or upset. I know I don't like myself when I'm angry, and the way that I behave or treat other people. When I'm angry, I don't like who I am, right? But like, it's just also through things when I'm angry, but a bit too often. Got you. So you have destructive tendencies. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're genuinely upset at your therapist, then it's definitely not a good idea. But yeah, I could see that being a problem as far as, having those destructive tendencies. But I think I threw a sharp ass pistol at someone today during French, and now I have an hour to ditch it tomorrow. Well, I'm glad that you didn't. It wasn't more severe. That could have been bad. But yeah, school's tough. People are tough. Being that age is tough. So I feel you. I won't go ask for details, but yeah, just finding like the ways in order to manage that, I think, is very, very important. Should get homeschooled anyways. As somebody who was homeschooled for a little while, I excelled in that kind of environment, but at the same time, it's not for everyone, and homeschooling is so hit or miss. You're gonna, like, there are things that you just may not get taught, and you're gonna be behind on, or you may excel and then you'll be ahead of everybody. It's hard to know, but I think it depends of the reasoning. I think where the reason that you are leaving traditional school for homeschooling matters more. If you're doing it to just avoid, out of fear or anger or just frustration or just kind of giving up on it, I don't think that's a path that is worth pursuing. But if it's more of like that's what you feel is best and it's progressive and it feels like you could truly develop and feel like that's the right decision, that's an entirely other thing, right? Yeah. So it's just kind of one of those things where the reasons that traditional school isn't working for you, if you boil it down to its base components, are those the things that you would still run into on your day-to-day life? And if the answer is yes, even as an adult out into the real world, then you need to find ways to confront them and work your way through it now, because it's going to be even tougher later, right? You say, but Vent art could also help with that stuff. Yeah, using art as a outlet for anger is very, very good. Feeling I'd probably get better sleep. Yeah. Well, what's keeping you up? Are you on that damn phone? Be brutal. A lot brutal? Well, I mean, yeah. It's one of those things where it's like horror art exists for a reason. And if you feel that it's going too far, you can get rid of it, right? Like once you put pen to paper, or you can, if it's electronic, just delete it, right? That you don't need to keep them if you don't want to keep them. They don't have to be released. They don't have to be shown. But it is a good, I think it's a good indicator. Know what to do about my YouTube channel too, because I haven't posted in months because of all this. Well, I mean, that's okay. It's okay for you to get to a good place and then post again. Because if you force it, people can tell, right? Like, I could have tried to force posting stuff on YouTube while I was doing this whole move thing. I could have forced myself to do that. But I would have had less time and energy and focus to try to get everything done that I need to get done. Right? And do y'all, like, hold it against me? No. It's okay. Take the time that you need. And then just come back when you're ready. You don't have to. For a stream or two for like 5 hours straight, which wasn't a good one. Yeah. It's, at this point, I think you just need to focus on yourself, you know? Oh, help, I was in the comments. Yeah. You, like, I mean, I always appreciate your comments. It helps push things for the algorithm dragon, so know that I always appreciate it. But I've almost posted my Vent art on mine is crazy. Well, I guess it depends on your reasoning, right? I think the art is a sign for of your mental space, and I think in particular for like therapy and stuff like that, it's very important. It's very important to know what you're dealing with, and it's a way, if like if things are particularly in a way, because I am not a therapist, and I do not claim to be a therapist, so know that this is coming from a person who is not an expert in the field, but as somebody who has like friends in therapy, and I've definitely absorbed a lot of things passively, and from my experience with being there for people and supporting people in my life, right? You're better than my therapist. Well, I thank you, silly, but all it really is I'm just supporting. I'm just listening to what you're saying and giving my advice, and that's all I can really do. And sometimes that's all that people needs, right? So, and hell yeah, Star. Hell yeah. One of those things where it's, I think, if anything silly, these are a lot of signs of, you know, being pushed too far. Either you pushing yourself or other people pushing you, you know? So, it's just kind of one of those things where I think you need to take time for introspection, because obviously something's wrong, right? I think we're in an agreement that something is off. You're not your usual self. You're not doing the things that you want to do. You're not behaving in the way that you usually behave. And it now, like, the signs are there. So I think it's time to figure out why. Just make sure to put a blur over it. And to post my art. If it's too far, know that I would have to take it down, but know that it is not it isn't anything personal. It's not like I'm against it in any particular way, but I just have to be responsible for what's on the Discord. So you're more than welcome to. Yeah. So it's just kind of one of those things where, especially if they're Alice, how you doing? Did you change your name again, or or is this a different Alice? It would be convenient. But yeah, no, it's tough when you're in a bad spot. But that's why we need therapy. We need outside perspectives. We need professional help from time to time. And you can't really look at yourself very well. And that's just a very human thing to not be able to know. What the hell is wrong with me? Well, those are symptoms. Those are signs. Those are things. I'm done with CapCut. It said I wouldn't get copyrighted for the video, and look at it. Got copyrighted for the video. Yeah. YouTube has different rules and stuff like that, especially if it's short that is longer than a minute. Any video that has any copyrighted sound, even if the sound is acceptable on YouTube, if it's over 60 seconds, will auto get flagged. It will not consider it even though it's legal. Yeah, so just a heads up. If you are using any music whatsoever that isn't your own music that you made yourself, keep it under 60 seconds, otherwise they'll just flag it. Or just make it not a short. Or just make it like a long form video or something. And I've found in general that doing long form, shorts reach out for more and more people, but as far as like CPM, like clicks per minute, and like actually making money off of the videos, like shorts give nothing. Like actually nothing. So for me, I use shorts as a way to advertise what we do. It's what gets put in front of people's eyes. It's what gets people interested in what I do, right? That's not the money maker, that's the marketing, right? So it's kind of one of those things where the videos themselves, those are the ones that I'm doing. Yeah, okay. All right, let's see here. Okay. I don't know. So I get the feeling and feel just from my perspective of it. Those are fine. Those can stay. I get a feeling of entrapment and alienation from those. Just from my own perspective of that art. I have worse ones, which is why I did not send more. And I appreciate you being considerate. But that's why I want you to get help. That's why I want you to have a therapist. That's why I want you to, it's okay to get professional help. I don't want you to feel bad needing that. Everyone should be having a therapist. And if the one you currently have isn't working, find another one. And if that doesn't work, find another one. And it could be exhausting. It could be really tiring. And I know that's a lot coming from someone who's already in a bad place. But finding the right person to help you out of a situation is so important when it comes to these things. And know that I'm in your corner in the meantime. That's all I can really say. Yeah, Nintendo is really not doing a good job with this PR. I don't, unless something new came up with a Nintendo as far as the whole Switch 2 nonsense to the increased price of the games and their suing of Power Worlds, like a lot of recent stuff with Nintendo. I'm like, bro, what is the beloved company has done? Yeah, said stupid art to lighten the mood. All right, let's check it out. Let's check it out. Yeah. Oh my god, you're so cute. I love it. I like the you know, the difference between the two. But yeah. No, you at least always have a place here, silly. So, whatever comfort that may give you. But yeah, no, I'm saying that right now because the school internet keeps trying to kill my mobile data, causing my connection to suck. No, Alice, I'm sorry. That's unfortunate. But I'm glad you're here while you can. If you dip in and out, that's more than fine. And also, it's something that I wanted to mention as well with Dragon said this earlier. Like, y'all don't have to apologize for not showing up for streams. Y'all don't have to come to every stream. It's okay. I'm going to be fine. But you're welcome to be here, and I welcome you every time that you're here, and to watch the videos and all that other kind of stuff. And I love y'all's support, and I appreciate it. But I don't want you to feel pressure that you have to. None of you have to. My mods don't have to be here every stream. You know what I mean? Like, the only person who has to be here is me, and that's because this is the thing that I'm making. Right? So don't apologize. It's okay. It's all right. If you fall off the face of the planet and come back, only thing I'm gonna want is you to tell me how have you been, and that's it. That like how are you doing? All right. Like, that's really all that I care about. Is like, welcome back, right? They're basically threatening me if I modify the game, they will break the Nintendo Switch too. That's also what I have heard, Star. Something tells me it might be more nuanced than that. It feels very like new. This is the title of a news article, like chocolate's good for you. You know what I mean? So I would have to do more research as far as that whole thing. I've heard for some people it's like, hey, they only will brick if you like steal and or like do like really heinous shit with it. Then they'll brick it. But they're like, for the traditional regular modding, they may not. So I will have to do more research as far as what they do. But overall, I don't like what they've been doing. Even if that was the case, the way they've been going about it has been so shitty. Yeah, I know this is the new terms and conditions, but like, terms and conditions have always been a little how to put it, weird. You know what I mean? There are certain terms and conditions that if you sign it, it has no legality behind it. Then there are some that are way overreaching. Like, I don't... A part of me wants to get a little bit of background as far as legalese and like laws and things of that nature. Not to become a lawyer, but just so that like we're starting to get to a point now with these terms of service, with all the different other terms of service that we're signing, that I'm like, I want to know what I'm signing at this point. Because if it's at the rate things are going, a lot of their ridiculous enforcements are going to be enforceable. And that's not okay. So, I don't know. I really don't. But if the rumors are true, this is what I'll say. If the rumors are true, that it is that if you try to modify any game or anything like that, they'll just turn off your system. It sucks. The human centipede. What the hell, Starbies? What the hell? Yeah, like I don't know if it's legal to modify your game. I don't know. But all I do know is they move towards where the customer is not able to own anything, and that just being a new model for business, I'm not a fan of. I think if you pay money towards a physical thing, you should own it. I think the whole like owning the rights to something is ridiculous. But, you know, that's my perspective. And as somebody who is not an expert, who has not done efficient amount of research, but at the same time, the idea of like you own nothing, it could be taken away at any point for any reason as we see fit. As somebody who lives in a country that is like you could be fired for any reason whatsoever at any point, it's not good. It's not a good time. I had a nightmare about agreeing with the terms of service without reading, and then your brain just gets hijacked. I mean, yeah. I don't think that's going to become a reality in our lifetime, but I think that kind of goes into like that once we have the ability to, you know, interact and manipulate people's minds outside of just psychology, like psychology and marketing and entertainment in general, and more of a physical, like that's going to be one of the first things that we're going to have to confront. Unfortunately, laws in government have been notoriously slow and way behind innovation and technology. Like, we're just still talking about TikTok, right, in the last year or so, and social media effect on people. And that has been something that's been happening for like, what, 10, 20 years? Something like that? Not TikTok in general, but the effects of social media on children's minds. Like, it's huge. It's a huge thing. Someone owns a Nintendo Switch 2 already? No, I did not. Have they said anything about it as far as how much they like it? I'm not planning on getting a Nintendo Switch 2. Just in general. Like, I'm good. I don't think... I like the games that they put out for the Switch before was like okay, I guess. Like, I liked some of the Pokemon games, but I don't know if I can keep supporting like games that are just like this console is like 10 years behind other consoles. Oh my gosh, they stole it from the presentation. They're gonna get so arrested. Holy shit. That's nuts. I don't advocate for that. Don't ever do that. If I find out that any of y'all steal shit like that, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna tell Mama Dodo. I'm gonna tell Mama Dodo on you. Yeah, no, don't do that. Now, what I would like to see... you always steal. What I would like to see is a huge... push against scalpers. That's what I would like to see. Between magic, like anything from trading card games to consoles to like all this and like tickets, like scalpers have been one of those things where it's just like they should not exist. We need to have systems in place to prevent them from doing what they're doing, because they make so much money off of the backs of like other people. It's a profitable middle person position where it should not exist. It should not exist. But yeah, because I knew a guy in college actually who sold. I don't remember if it was Magic cards or not, but I know he bought cards and then sold those cards in college. All right, have fun lurking, dragon. And he paid a cruise in his school off of that. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's just like, I don't know. I don't think he scalped. I can't say he was scalping. However, I knew the kind of person he was. He wouldn't be above scalping. You know what I mean? He wouldn't be above doing that. So I wasn't his biggest fan, but at the same time, he didn't seem like a terribly bad person, so hopefully he wasn't. I want to see an extremely fluffy Mama Dodo. Well, I'll probably take some inspiration off of Silly's hairstyles from Mama Dodo. There was a lot of them that were really good. In the way that you do hair does is very inspiring, because I struggle with hair. It's one of the things I really need to practice and get down, because the hair that I try to make looks bad. Of course. I'm just trying to think. The only thing that I can give advice on is things that I do to help with my mental health. But it's also hard to say, because I'm still trying to figure that out too, right? The only thing that I can say is I've been trying to go on walks with trees as much as I can. And I try to socialize more than I usually do. Because I feel like there's something wrong with my brain to a certain degree. I don't feel loneliness. I don't think in any normal capacity. Like, I just don't feel it. I could be alone for a really, really, really long time, and then I don't feel any different. But that doesn't mean that the other side effects of not socializing don't happen. You know what I mean? If I'm like slow and sluggish and just in general just not feeling okay, and then I socialize a little bit and then I feel better, and I'm like, oh, I guess I just needed to socialize a little bit. You know? But I didn't feel loneliness. I don't have the thing. It's like when you don't feel hungry, but then you have a headache, and getting up you get lightheaded, and you're a little quick of a temper, and it's just like, oh, I need to eat food. And it's not because you're hungry, it's because you have a slew of other symptoms pointing to, like, did you eat food today? If not, you need to eat food. So it's kind of like that. So I've been trying to socialize more, and I've been trying to be out in nature more. I can't tell you if that has helped. Let me tell you a story, Silly, of my relationship with food. I am a recovering picky eater. I taste bitter very strongly. I in general don't like a lot of foods. But so, like, the start of this, I'll start my journey. Let's put it this way. I grew up on SpaghettiOs and meatballs for lunch, and chicken tenders for dinner, and then the occasional like canned green beans and like a home cooked meal. But for the most part, SpaghettiOs and meatballs, where I would eat all the meatballs and then use the SpaghettiOs as chip dip, and I would rotate the chips to like Cool Ranch Doritos, barbecue Lay's, and barbecue Fritos, and I would just rotate the chips, and I would just eat it all the time, and it's what got me through college. And like most of my life, that was what I ate. And like, I mean, I would eat pasta here and there instead of SpaghettiOs, or like instead of like fried chicken, frozen chicken, we would bake it every once in a while. But for the most part, that's what I ate. And at work, I remember being like, okay, I'm gonna bring food to work, because it's like my first big boy job. It was like my first non-contract job out of college. And what I brought to work was frozen chicken, frozen breaded chicken, and fish sticks with ketchup. That is what I ate for lunch at work. And I asked people as far as like fish sticks because it would make this fish smell. It's like, hey, is this a problem? They're like, no, you eat what you want. We don't care. But after a while, I was like, you know what? I want to eat better. I want to eat healthier, but I don't want to go full hog. We're gonna go a little at a time. So I went from frozen chicken and fish sticks to frozen chicken, instant mashed potatoes, and canned green beans. And then I replaced my frozen chicken with baked chicken. And I learned how to season. I learned how to learn how much salt and pepper and like all the garlic powders and onion powders and like all that other paprika. Like I learned how to like slowly get into that. And then I replaced my instant mashed potatoes with homemade mashed potatoes. And then I changed that into like I made potato wedges or potato slices. And then from canned green beans, I learned how to saute. And I used the same seasoning that I learned for my chicken and just did the same thing for my green beans. And it's perfect. And eventually I was starting to eat a lot healthier. And it was just by changing little things here and there. So as far as like food sucking, what I recommend is cooking. Try different recipes, see what sticks, see what doesn't, see what kind of things that you like. Like, don't get me wrong, I can cook now, but bro, like a good Easy Mac, like a good thing of Easy Mac with some American cheese in it as well. It's good. Do you just not feel hungry? Because especially if you're thinking of yourself as like you may have depression, that is a sign, right? That of a lack of appetite is a sign as well. Where I get hungry sometimes, but I don't really want to eat. Yeah. All right, see a star. I'm pretty sure it is. Hold on, let me see. I don't want to give you false information. Is lack of appetite a sign of depression? Yes. See ya star. Yeah, it is. So like, but like a little bit of background about me, silly. I struggled. Does that mean I have to eat then? You should be eating. But that's why I'm saying learning how to cook can help, because then you can control what you eat better. Right? So you can get the things that you need in your body and it tastes the way you want it to taste. Like, that's the magic of cooking. The magic of cooking is that you can have more control over what you put in your body in the way that you want it. And as a recovering picky eater, that's the way how I moved forward with it, right? But like, I was diagnosed with depression during my last job. So a little bit of background about me is that after college, I was working in scientific fields and then got into a master's degree program, right? Because I looked around at all the other scientists and I was just like, I want to stand out in my own way. I'm going to get a master's degree. And like during that degree, like I was in a relationship at the time, and that fell through while getting that degree. And like I powered through it. It was an accelerated master's program, so I did 2 years of schooling in 1 year. And like I was finally able to get a job after 5 months after that degree. And at that time, I had like zero money. Like absolutely zero money. We were 1 month away of just not being able to pay rent. And I managed to get a good job, get through it, start digging myself out of the hole of debt that I was in. And then eventually finally like got to a point where I had a savings. Like my goal was 6 months of savings. And as soon as I hit that, I was overwhelmed with the need, not a want, a need to leave. leave a perfectly good job with perfectly good people, and I didn't understand what was happening, and I definitely should have seen a therapist. And I remember just walking down the hallways, and I just stopped, and with every ounce of my being, I was fighting the desire to just walk out of the building and never come back. And I didn't know what was happening. And one day, I was really leaning on my mom and my closest friend, and my thoughts got away from me. I was thinking things that I wasn't thinking. Like it was out of my control. And I realized that I had to leave. I realized now, I called it at the time the riptide, but what it was severe burnout. As soon as I was able to take a breath of relief of everything that I've been through, it hit all at once. All of it hit at once. The master's degree pressure, the relationship, the almost being homeless, like all of it hit at the same time at that moment, and it broke me. And I took time off. I took about 6 months. My job, when I told them that I was leaving, this is how much they thought I was going to stay there. They laughed. My boss laughed at me when I told them that I was leaving. Not because, like, I was being made fun of. They thought I was joking. They thought I was making a joke of leaving. And she's like, oh my God, you're serious. So it came out of nowhere because I hid it. I didn't make it obvious that I was struggling so badly. And I gave them a month notice and I left. And let me tell you, the 6 months after leaving was some of the best months of my life. Hands down. Every day felt like a week. I was learning about myself. I was like, okay, obviously this isn't working. What's important to me? And I tried to learn about myself. I figured out what I wanted, what I needed, how I functioned. Do my energy levels fluctuate through the day? What do I like to spend my time doing? Could I make a living off of that? And what I learned is what I put together was I was making a video game. During my time off, I was making a game. So I was like, okay, is this something that we want to move forward with? Do we want to switch gears to do that? And about 6 months later, I was running out of money again, but an ex-coworker invited me, recommended me for a position in a new location. And I was like, okay, we'll give that one a shot. It was a bad decision, mind you, but it paid really well and got me out of that hole. And unfortunately, that's when COVID hit. But the point is, after that, I've been working at a couple of places for a couple years, and then I've been quitting. That's been a consistent thing. I worked at that first place where I burned out for about 3 years. Then I worked at the place that I was recommended for about 6 to 8 months or so, but I quit because of COVID and the way they were treating COVID. They were not taking it seriously. And I was so mad every day at the way that they were going about it. So I had to leave, or I was going to go insane. And then I got another job down in where I just came from. And then after 2 or 3 years of that, I've left, right? Due to burnout. And so I've been consistently being burned out. In this last job, I took an FMLA leave, which for those that don't know, it's family medical something assistance. I forget what it is, but basically is I took 6 months of unpaid time off in which I would still have a job to come back to. And I was diagnosed with depression. And I was made to see a therapist. And I explained how I was feeling. Like at this time, this was also when I was dealing with my thyroid. So I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism at this point. And for those that don't know, it's when your thyroid doesn't make the amount of hormone that it needs to, and there's symptoms that are associated with that. some of which is like you struggle with cholesterol and you have an overabundance of a particular thyroid hormone. And so I was getting treatment for that, but I wasn't being treated properly. I had a doctor who wouldn't listen to me, who gave me such a small amount of dosage that my body finally stopped overcompensating, but what I was given wasn't enough to properly make up the difference, and I had severe depression. I wouldn't say severe depression, because that's an entirely different thing, but I had depression. I slept for like 13 hours a day. I didn't eat food. What I ate is what I would call a chips and milk diet, where I would have a glass of milk and a handful of about barbecue Doritos, and that would be my meal. That would be what I would eat. I didn't want anything else. I just wanted high cholesterol, like not high cholesterol, but like high density food where it didn't fill my stomach, but just gave me what the calorie that I would need to function. And like it took legit 6 to 8 months to convince this doctor to just up the dosage so I didn't feel like death. And eventually, it got to a point where I just went to a new doctor, and I was just like, please just let me increase this dosage. I know this is the problem. It isn't because I have depression. It's because this dosage is wrong. And it was a mixture of things. It was the fact that the dosage was wrong, while at the same time, what was determined by my therapist was that my job was causing me depression. It was an environmental issue. It wasn't because my hormones were imbalanced. It wasn't because I was born that way. It was because my environment was so bad at the place that I was working at, I had depression from it. And I left. I left that job. And I started this. I started streaming. I started making art. I started trying to chase things that have always been intangible and unreachable, and moving my way through that. And you're now caught up to present. We're still in the middle of that process of me trying to make something that I don't get in my way of, in my own way. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know what you're going through, silly, but all I can really do is share my own experience and my own experiences and what helped me get through it, which was to have, a select few group of people there for me and a trust in myself, because at the end of the day, what is that phrase? There are only two people that you need to make sure is happy: your 5-year-old self and your 80-year-old self. As long as you do things that make both of them happy, you're gonna do just fine. So yeah, it sucks, but I know you can get through it, and 2 and you don't have to, it's okay to get help. It's a help to find help, and it's okay. Don't try to associate bad people to bad systems. You know what I mean? It's like, how you have those teachers that are just horrible teachers, and then you have teachers that are like amazing. That doesn't mean anyone's going around being like, man, I really wish there wasn't any teachers. It's like we 100% need teachers, but at the same time, a bad teacher really fucks over people, and a bad therapist does the same. Yeah, bad teachers suck, but good teachers, they change people forever. And I know I have my assortment of both. I've had really bad teachers and really good teachers, and if the person that you're supposed to help you isn't helping you, find another person. Get them out. Just like, hey, we're linking this back to game development. Fail quickly. That is a clause and a belief in game design throughout the whole process. What you want is to create things very fast, and test it out, see if it works. If it doesn't, scrap it, start over, and make sure that rotation is Please do. I mean, gosh, we're on like episode 41, 42, 43 of me doing this now. Like we've come a long way, but we've so much left to do. And my hope, I mean, my original goal was to have this be a 3-month game dev cycle in which would help me like make money to live. Like that was my goal. This was gonna be an egg in a basket, being like, I have a game that'll just make me income. That's gonna be fun. And then now I'm just like, oh god, I just need to finish it. But part of the reason why it's taken so long is because we're only able to do it like once a week. If I switch gears where we're doing this on a daily basis, we'd probably get this done relatively quickly. But that would mean that we would have to push everything else off, right? So like no games, no working on the projects, no working on all that stuff. So this is just kind of one of those things where it'll be done when it's done. It'll be done when it's ready. You know? Yeah. Maybe in the future we might have like maybe like game dev sprees or something, or we just have like a whole week where it's just like we don't do anything but game dev for a whole week. But I feel like I would burn myself out so fast. Oh gosh. And a part of me is just like, well, it would also be faster if I didn't stream it, but I want to stream it. I want y'all's feedback. I want y'all's support in it. Like I want that. So it may not be faster, but it's better. There's been so many things that have been like, I wouldn't say changed, but like improved from y'all's like input. So like I want to keep doing that. But I mean, the goal here, I'll show you. I'll show you what the current goal is. Where is it? There we are. So we're here. We're on number 6. We create imposter spread. Our current goal is to be done by the 4th of May, which is... No, I think all this is lies. None of this is true. That's fine, silly. People hop in and out throughout the day. And some might not. You know, as far as game dev days, it tends to be a bit lighter depending on what we're tackling, right? And that's fine. But the plan is that we have the demo out in October. That's what I would like. I would like to have the demo out in October and then the full release next year at the end of March. That's my current. Ooh, you got it, silly. I'm standing up, so I'm gonna. I need that. Oh. But yeah. So as far as things like we want to finish the imposter spread. We need to create and manage the resource system, aka like emergency vehicles. I'll roll around the floor screaming when the game is finished. I'm really excited to see how people like this game. It's going to be a real, like, after we release this game, we're probably going to have streams where we just go around on other people's streams to see if they're playing, to anyone who's playing it, and see how they like it. Like, do the game dev thing where we kind of, like, thank people for playing our game and seeing, like, getting feedback and all that, especially for the demo. Because if we can get feedback on how people are liking the demo, we can modify the full game before release, and I would like that as well. But yeah, no problem, Alice. Welcome back. So we have the resource system, the emergency vehicles. Then we have, we'll just delete this. We have the NPCs leaving. So this was the spikes in difficulty for when people leave, and just catering that system to make sure that that each spike feels good. So it's fine tuning of the difficulty curve is what this is. Then we make the system that have the phones come in, and then that one is the one where it's just like, okay, that's when we get the timing down. How much time do we give them to respond? Like how frequently the calls come in? Like these things are important that we get down to the nitty gritty. And then this is number 10, the phone scripts. This is where I start to get really, really excited. Writing the phone scripts is going to be so fun. Like all the different interactions, like all the different situations, like having all those scripts written down. Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be so much fun. That's the meat and potatoes. You know what I'm saying? The Disney in Japan. Yeah, right. And then the make the phone calls here is the actual verbalization of them, right? This is where I would need to decide how to go about how audio is going to play, whether or not we are going to like hire voice actors, whether or not we are going to try to lean into AI. I would rather, especially with the recent AI replacing voice actors thing, I think we should just avoid that altogether, depending on how that goes. So we'll need to make decisions based on affordability from what I'm able to. Hopefully by this point I will have a job or income so I can pay people. And then but we'll see. We'll see how we can get it. Especially or you could do the TNMN. What is the TNMN? What is that mean? That's not my neighbor. What is that's not my neighbor? How did they go about it again? I remember seeing gameplay of that game, but I never actually went through it. Instead of talking, it could be sounds. Oh. I mean, we could. I'd rather avoid that. I wanted full voice. Is there going to be a very ridiculous interaction option? As far as like you respond to people and then you can choose what options to to speak back them with. Because if so, I mean, as of right now, I didn't have any way for you to talk back, only for you to receive. But that's something that once we make the phone system and write the phone scripts, that's something that we will also get down of, like, how do we want the player to interact with the situation? Do we want them to have agency in response? Because if we give them the ability to respond, now we're starting to get into decision tree situations, right? And we have to be very careful with that, because that would really bloat the game. Not the gameplay, but just like, okay, now I have to spend like 2 months just getting the responses in, right? So I don't know. I don't really know 100% how we want to go about that. What do you say is purple duckling? yeah, no, I don't know. I honestly don't know. After we make the phone calls, or after we make the actual audio for the phone, then we make the filter so that we actually make it sound like the other person on the other end is a mimic or not. Adding sound effects, adding music for the game, making a pause and in menu, and then finally we have art assets where we make everything feels good. The everything is the exact way we want it. Now we make it look pretty. Now we make it look good. It's not just squares. It's not just untextured assets. We can actually make the stuff. Maybe. I mean, it's a good idea, Alice, as far as like giving people agency. I just don't know how to approach it yet. Then we prep the store page, and then at this point we release the demo. So what we would prioritize before even finishing, like, we are not going to put everything, all this, we're going to be prioritizing, make sure that the demo is pretty much complete before the main game is complete, right? So, like the scripts, we're not writing every single script for the main game, but we will be making every single script for the demo, because the demo is 6 months prior, right? So with that in mind, and it's going to be a lot less that we need to tackle, right? Check the create demo, then we polish, bug fix. We polish and bug fix between the release and the demo, and we take the people's their impressions and then use that to modify the main game as well. And since we're linking the two as far as story wise, it will be an interesting thing where it's like, if you play the demo is like the tutorial in a way, and it also gives things from a different perspective. And then also, so like, you'll have little Easter eggs in the main game that if you play the demo, you'll understand, like, oh, I recognize that voice. That voice is from the kid from the demo, right? And I think that would be really cool as well. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to our first ad break of the day, and then I'm going to do some exercise, and we'll get right into figuring out where we're going to do the game dev stuff. See y'all in 3 minutes. And welcome back. How are y'all doing? Well, I say how y'all doing as if I didn't already ask, but hopefully y'all are doing well. I tried to do some exercise. I couldn't do it, man. I think it's the meat sauce. I'm not in it. I'm just not in it, man. Oh man. Okay. All right. So let's see if we have any notes. Oh, are you still struggling? I'm sorry, Alice. I hope you feel better soon. I want people to learn that there's a purpose and meaning. Okay, so this was the effort matters representation. Notes, maybe? No. Okay. I want to have people learn that there's a purpose and meaning behind putting effort, even if they don't change. Okay, the decision. Let's just read the decision. Regardless if the ending is hopeless, as it will always end the same, the player will be given agency in the decision leading up to the point, thus influencing the overall narrative. Well, get some rest, Alice. Drink plenty of water, and give yourself time. It's probably gonna suck for a while, but you got this. I believe in you. In particular, the smaller narratives that are conditional will be influenced by both the randomness of the spread and the decisions of the player. So since the player is able to have agency before the ending, they are not always helpless or hopeless. Right. Did I ever finish reading Dragon's interpretation for the game design stuff? I think I did, but now I need to go back and reread it. What if Karen abusing the 901 so that the storyline aimed at getting her attacked? There will be people. I do have planned where there not only are there going to be people that you want to save, but there will be people that you want killed. So Karen abusing the 911 system for every single little thing that they do is something that would be very probable. Where you could be like, good riddance, my god. Alright, let's see, phone calls. So what's other types of music where the NPC respond to? Be able to put people on holds. So this is more of a phone thing. This is the kind of the interaction. It's like, ooh, do we talk to people? Do we give the players agency to respond? Do we even respond at all? Because in a 911 operator, technically, like, what they should respond, they should have like stuff they respond with, where it's just like, oh, you know, this is a response. I mean, what we could do as far as limitations and be like, oh, it's a new computer system where the response is computer generated. Well, here's a question, because this is a little finicky, right? Yeah, it could also help understand how 911 operators feel. That's true. I mean, this is going to be a fantasy version of it, right? This is not a hyper-realistic 911 operator simulator. It is based around reality to a certain extent, but after that, we take agency towards the dark fantasy of it all. But the idea of, especially the moments near the end of the game where you have to decide who to save and who not to save, is a very important place to experience. And I think it's very important to have people know what it's like to have a life in your hands and you're not being able to save everyone, and how to cope with that, and what decisions would you make if put into that situation, right? Because I think that's important. It's important to know for yourself, and it's important to grow as a person when put into that situation, right? I think it's an important life lesson. What was I thinking? Oh, do we potentially want to use AI? And I've mentioned it before as far as voice actors, but using artificial intelligence specifically for response, not the player's response per se, but it could be something. When was the first AI like Chat GPT before ChatGPT? What was the first AI text generator first? When was AI first introduced? That's 1956. Let's see here. Because let's see if we can see what's in around 1990. Here we go. 1993 to 2011. We could have the AI create the mimic's lines. That is true. And we could have them pick from our assortment. Like, what we could do is have an assortment of vocals that is like made by people. And then what we can have is each of these things are now AI that will take snippets of each one. And their job, the AI job, is to make sure that it is as human, or like they try to trick the person to be as human as possible. So what we could kind of lean into a bit, if we wanted to go this route, is like teaching people how to tell what's AI and what's not. You know what I mean? Which is a good thing to have. So let's look. Despite the lack of fun, so 1993 to 2011 is when this game is supposed to be happening. Despite the lack of funding, the early 90s showed impressive strides towards AI research, including the introduction of the first AI system that could beat a reigning world champion chess player. Okay, so the chess player thing happened during this. Early examples of AI agents in research settings, as well as introduction of AI into everyday life via innovations such as the first Roomba and the first commercially viable speech recognition software on Windows computers. Okay, we might be cooking. AI art lost its ability to create convincing art companies, so just put into it with the AI whoever does it. Yeah, no. AI art is garbage. That shouldn't happen. And I'm planning on making sure the art that I put out there are not used for that reason. Let's see here. I'm thinking like late 90s, early 2000s. That was part of their advertising user experience algorithms. Okay. To connect the first game software designed to track body movement. Computer answer question named Watson. Won Jeopardy against that. Released Siri. I don't want 2011. 2011's too late. I want like right around here. Not quite there. I mean, it doesn't have to be real. As long as it's like in the vicinity, it's believable. Because it's not like we're giving this a year, right? We might, but like more than likely, it's not. Let's see here. Optimism, 1980. We don't want that. Here, I'll show you. Let's see. 87, 80s. Second AI winter. 2005 to 2017. Access to large amounts of data, cheaper and faster computers, and advanced machine learning. Turning point was the success of deep learning in 2012. 2012 is too late. That's a little too late. Milestones of Moore's Law. Deep Blue became the first computer. A Stanford robot. 2 years later, a team automatically navigating. The success were not due to revolutionary paradigm, but mostly due to tedious application engineering skill. This dramatic increase in Moore's Law. Intelligent agents. Throughout early research is modular divide and conquer, and brought concept of decision theory and economics to study AI. Definition of rational agent is married to computer science's definition of object. An intelligent agent is a system that perceives its environment and takes actions which maximize its chances to success. By this definition, the simple program that solves specific problems are intelligent agents, or human beings, and specialized human beings such as firms. Okay. I mean, it's... What's your definition of an advanced society? I think we're kind of getting distracted. As far as the use of AI for this, I think a part of me wants to use it so like they learn. Like, I think it would be kind of cool if the creatures are AI and they learn from the player's decisions so they can start tricking the player. That's always cool and fun. But I think I'm not convinced that this is the game we should be doing that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a reason why Magic is seen as like an alternative to technology, right? Where it's like things that like stories and fantasy where magic is very prevalent often have lower technology because they didn't need to work on the technology because they have magic, right? Technology is a tool to solve problems. If magic solved those problems, then you wouldn't need to make technology, right? Unless you have a unique situation in which magic is only used by like the rich or the wealthy or like the privileged or like certain bloodlines, like only where it's a select few, and then in order to like you would have a competition of technology versus magic, then you get into an advancement of both because there's a, you know, what do you call it? It's the kind of competition where it's like tooth and shields, you know what I mean? Where it's like Prey and Predator, where adaptions of one changes the adaptions in the other, which is very interesting, but I think a good way of putting it. So I think if you're going to have an advanced technology and advanced magic, they have to be competing. I don't think there's a situation in which they're cooperating unless it's a very idealized what's the word I'm looking for? Oasis kind of situation where it's like it's a perfect society. I think competition's a lot more realistic. Unless you're not going for realism, I mean, go off, King. Fusion of technology and magic for weaponry. Oh, okay. I mean, you could go down the route where certain weaponry is conductivity, where the advanced, like the objects, the type of the weaponry is more aligned with specific kinds of magic. So it's less to do with an advancement of both and more to do with, oh, we want to be efficient with this as possible, so we need to make sure we're making things the right way so that the applicable magic will be able to be as efficient as possible. Which is also interesting, right? Possible start, ending, game begins with character leaving a voicemail that was cut off. Last call, game, instead of it being received, is the main character with their own phone call. I like this. I really liked our recording / phone call discussion. As far as the game begins with the main character on the phone, and they are leaving a phone call. I'm gonna say their mother, and it's the final call. And they're like kind of telling kind of what's happening. Nothing substantial. Nothing incriminating or detailed, but you know, it still sounds like they don't think they're gonna be getting through it, and then it will cut off, and then the game will start. And then I think the cassette recording of the investigator interrogating the main character where the bodies of the town were located, I think it would be kind of interesting. It was the tail end of that first cassette, or of the first voicemail that we heard in the beginning of the game, except the investigator like stops the tape. They just hit stop, and they're just like, okay, now where are the bodies? We know that you were there because we have this recording on the answer machine, right? And I think that shit's really cool. Because my story, the tieflings use a material called obsidian 2, which is obsidian mixed with the blood of the mother. Well, that's pretty cool. I like that. I like the idea of mixing inorganic and organic materials to make something new. I think that shit's fire. So, hell yeah. Let's see. Like, located. Have them be playing the recording of the beginning of the game, but stopped to ask the question. I think that shit's cool. Okay. Why are all these? I thought I fixed this. That's fine. It only takes a second. Spread. Okay, so. Okay. Decided not needed. Size, uniformity. We decided not that we didn't need it. So we're currently at a point where we need to fix the gaps. We need to fix the gaps of the mimic spread. It's both organic and inorganic. She is the mother of the new world. Fair enough. But I guess it depends on your definition or inorganic. Do you mean inorganic in the sense that it was created? Or is it not life? Because technically humans have inorganic substances in them as well, but we wouldn't classify that as inorganic, right? But if like for if mother is like has like rocks in her or something, or metal or machines, then definitely. All right, so gaps. So let us see here. See what kind of gaps are we talking, and see what we can do with it. All right. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. This is where it kind of gets a little... Potential for spread different distances is directly related to the difficulty of the minute. Alright, Alice. See you in a bit. Not all locations are equal. Explore the possibility of keeping gaps. Alright. Alright. Let's do that. Let's explore the possibility of keeping gaps. So let's think this through. Originally, what we had was a situation where, or a current situation, which is as it spreads, as it goes through, as it goes around, it hops from one place to another randomly. And with that in mind, what's going to end up happening is that there needs to be a bit of an indication of, like, how do we want it to go about spreading? Because what we have here is that it is completely random. And with this being specifically in this amount of distance, you're gonna find the randomness can kind of screw itself over a bit. So we need to kind of give a little bit of a push where it's like, what direction do we want to push it? Right? I mean, we could mess with the map a bit. We could put a little thing like right here or something, right? Or, but well, that's where the potential spread to different sizes kind of comes in. That kind of solves that problem. This solves this problem, technically. Because if this is like the more likely situation, but there's 2 more circles, that happens, where it would be like, oh, okay, so it's a 60% chance everything within this circle would go, 30% anything within this circle goes, and then 10% chance anything within this circle goes, right? And so then you won't get stuck anymore. But you still are going to come across things where you IKEA blahage? Blahach? What does that mean? I'm assuming that's bunk bed. Or it's meatballs. I'm not sure which. Feel free to correct me. IKEA shark! Yeah! Is it the trans rights one? in the colors? I think it's trans rights, right? I think I got that right. It was definitely a support for one of the LGBTQ plus communities. But no, that's cool. Yay! The sharks are adorable regardless, so hell yeah. Basically, I'm just going through and discussing if we want gaps in the spread, because there's some pros and negatives, right? Let's see here. Gaps in the spread. Let's go, trans rights. Let's go. We support people up on this mesh, tell you that much. Besides, you know, a paleomancer that puts spirits into the bodies that they want to be in definitely feels pro-trans, right? You know what I mean? it kind of was like, what would you think? You would be against it? Like, what are you talking about? Bring someone back and be like, no, you don't understand. I get to decide what body you put you into. They're like, what? No. All right. So gaps in the spread. I think one of the biggest pros. Okay, so quick rundown on the spread. All right. So what we have right now. No, you're quite fine. What we have right now, we'll go ahead and do a reset on this so I can kind of show you. We start here in the top left. Our current spread is that it randomly chooses anything within the radius around that location. And it's random, and it goes. But it has a tendency, because it's random, to get quote-unquote stuck, right? It is now gone to every one of these houses, and I've made it so that if they go to a location, and it goes to a different location, it means that location is like killed, right? The people there are gone. It can't spread to a house that it's already spread to before. As far as if it wins, right? If you chase it off, it's a different story. But long and short of it is, in this scenario, every spread is a success in killing the people in that house, right? So you have moments like this where it kind of gets itself stuck, and we will see if we can make this happen because it's completely random. Oh, okay. Come on. Dang it. Stop going down. The other example is if it decides to actually go right, that would be great. No, of course not. Why would it do that? Why would it not do that? It will create gaps. Okay, it doesn't want to. It doesn't want to. Come on. There we go. So now that it's going right, see, it's leaving, it's hopping around, it's going around, it's spreading, and then it comes here and then it stops, right? So you have like little gaps in all these little locations. You have this house, you have this house, you have this house, like all these things where it didn't properly go there, right? So there's a couple ways we can address it. We can make it so that it will want to fill gaps. We can make it so that we have another one of these guys come out and come in from a different area and then come in and fill in those gaps just from the nature of there isn't a lot to select from. We could do that. The only thing that I will say with it is that the next thing that we're going to chase after we solve the problem for the gaps is increasing the radius, but have it so it's a different chance. So this is our current chance. It's like this big. This is the radius in which it can jump to. What I'm going to want is that there are 3 different distances. There's near, medium, far. And the lower the difficulty that mimic is currently being, the more likely it's to go like closer. But the higher the difficulty increases the chances that it'll try to trick you by going farther away, right? And the idea behind it is that I wanted to make it less predictable. If we make it so it's always has to be near that location, and then we get let's say it's over here, and then we get a call from like down here, the player is going to safely assume that regardless of this call, it's a human. Because the last confirmed case was over here, right? We don't want to give the feeling and impression that the call coming in just from context clues is not human or is human, right? We want them to treat most calls, maybe not every call. If it's starting over here and it's going over on the right, then, fine. We can do that for a little bit. But the likelihood Most other ones, I want them to be like, well, we could just have the bad roll of the die. Thus, as long as there is even a chance, people won't assume, right? Okay, let me catch to what Alice has been saying. Okay. Keeper good, fathers keeper evil. Not that they either good or evil, they just balance them. They're both all the gods, just the gods represent non-physical concepts. Your mother organic, and organic is because her flesh becomes the first world, which is the long split of the two universe. Interesting. Interesting, Alice. Well, I mean, just because the blood of a god becomes inorganic, that does not mean the source was originally organic, right? That's like saying dinosaurs were never organic because we have fossils, you know? The result was an inorganic rock through the mold and shape of what was organic. That doesn't mean that the original thing that it came from wasn't organic, right? Anyway, so I'm exploring the idea of, do we even want to fix the gap problem? Do we want to fix it? Because I don't want to go through the whole process of trying to fix a problem that doesn't even have to be a problem. It could be a feature, right? It only becomes a problem once we decide it is. So let's do that. So the pros of having gaps. So this is the discussion on pro gap or anti gap. The pro gap is it makes the spread less predictable, right? It makes it so that there is an assumption, because I said it before, right? I was moving forward with the idea that the main character is the only one that's alive, that lives at the end. But if we leave gaps, technically that may not be the case. We have more to play with now. We have places, right? We have places that are open. So if the player is paying attention, does this make it so that they could always come back? Or do we give the impression that these people aren't home? We could paint it narratively that some people are not there, right? It's like, well, also the first one was also different. The reality level, everything is different. What could be blood, there could also be metal in the new world. Interesting. I advocate for anti-gap. Scalability feels more important. What do you mean? What do you mean by scalability feels more important? How would not having gaps influence scalability? Let's see here. So it makes spread less predictable. Cons, it's say you have more to play with. Well, I'm saying more to play with if there is gaps. Because if we have no gaps, then the story, so we would have to change the main story progression slightly, right? So the idea here is, if there are no gaps, right, it would mean that we need to make the player is going to be the last person alive. That's what happens. They go to every single house. They go to every single location. That would also make it gameplay more chaotic, as the timing of when the game ends will vary, right? Because if we have gaps in the spread, then are gonna be games where it skips like 5 or 6 houses, or you could have games where it skips 1 or 2 houses, or there are games where it doesn't skip any houses. Like there's now variability to how long the game lasts, whereas before it's whenever all the houses get taken over, which is a much more consistent thing to depend on, right? Which, especially if we're going to go down the route of having this being a beneficial thing for speedrunners, is something that is not good. We don't want randomness and predictability when it comes to that kind of stuff for speedrunners, right? Imagine you're holding a piece of metal. Well, if you go to a different reality, the ball of metal could be something completely different there. Interesting. Okay. I follow you, Alice. Make spread less predictable. Create additional narratives for people, houses not being taken over. Right? So if we leave gaps, we can make it so that we can kind of play with the idea of why are they being skipped? Do we have a narrative reason? Do we have certain people doing certain things? Is it just the luck of the draw? Are they not home? Like, are there situations where we have more to play with the being gaps, where we can be like, ooh, this could be the reasons for these things? Or is that not worth having in exchange for making sure that it's more complete, right? Because the mimics are very picky. Maybe. Well, okay, another con to this is that it makes it more difficult to plan around the narrative progression of characters, since the amount of times they can be used is not more finite. Well, that's not 100% true either. Like, it's just because you have you need to cover every single house does not mean that you know exactly how many times they need to jump, right? Or how often they're going to be used, right? Because which ones that people use for which time and how often they do it, though it's more predictable if they have to take over every house, is also different because the player may choose things differently. The player may get things wrong or right at different times. Like, there's so much other things that would add chaos to it that I don't think that con has as much weight as I originally thought. Right? I think we'll just have to be extra careful as far as the progression of the story for certain people. And I think we'll get a better feel of it once we get, once we have a better grasp of the resources, etc. Hey, Prostog, how you doing? Hopefully well. Making an indie horror game. I'm currently going through the pros and cons of leaving gaps in a spread of mimics in this town, and the idea of like, okay, do we want to make it so that the spread kind of covers every single possible location, or do we want to not have that happen and then create like narrative reasons or gameplay reasons or positive and negatives of them skipping it, right? So that's where I'm at. But how are you doing today? Hopefully well. Let's see. What's another positive or negative for leaving gaps? If you're wondering why I'm fleshing out these gods, it's because obscure the laws of the world is needed primordial. Good. Well, I would hope that you're alive. That would be beneficial. I recommend it as a fellow alive person. I like it for the most part. There's some parts I would like to not be the case, but here we are. But I'm doing pretty well. A little tired, so I apologize if I seem a little scatterbrained today. And I don't have any caffeine here, unfortunately. So this is as good as you're gonna get it. But what I'm making an indie horror game called Last Call. And it is a 911 operator horror game where you are to determine if the person on the other end of the phone is a mimic or a person, and then you send emergency personnel to that location depending on your decision. And right now we're tackling the actual spread of the mimics from house to house, and seeing like how to making sure that it makes sense, that it feels good, make sure it covers as much as we want to cover, etc. So that's kind of where we're at. And you're welcome to ask any questions or anything like that if you want. Yeah. What about you? Do you make any? Are you making any games or have any background in this kind of stuff? Hell yeah. What you making? Let's see here. Game? Yeah, but like just game? Okay. You don't have to go into detail if you don't want. Let's see here though. Well, if we do leave the gaps, it would add, here we go. If we leave gaps, it would add variability to gameplay to make each run feel more unique. So that is a positive. You're fine. Prosto, don't worry. You don't have to listen. You can lurk. We love lurkers in here. So it don't matter. If you want to be here and vibe as I ramble on for hours on end, all the power to you. That's what the rest of these guys do. If you want to talk, you can talk. If you don't want to talk, you don't have to. No pressure on my part, my guy. I'm just happy for your attention. Let's see. So we have make spread less predictable so that we can actually utilize people will then make, they'll make less assumptions, create additional narratives for your house is not taken over. We can play with it more. It's more, when you leave gaps for the unknown, it gives us the opportunity to fill those holes with something that may be more interesting and or create opportunities for a more engaging gameplay loop, right? We can go where it's we can add a system so that if the place has been completely surrounded but they themselves are fine, maybe they are able to defend themselves. Maybe we'll get a call from the house that we'll put something in the code so that if of this location, if a certain percentage gets taken over but they have not, we will get a call that they say that they've been protected, right? They protected themselves, which in reality would give the impression that they tried to get in but failed. But as far as the coding is concerned, it was never attempted in the first place, which is technically lying. But as a game developer, we're allowed to do that. We're allowed to do that to a degree. It's the same degree of magicians lie to you. It's an acceptable thing. As long as you do it within a certain parameters for certain reasons, you can kind of do it. It's the same example as statistics. right? When games show the probabilities of something, that is almost always skewed in the player's favor, because a 30% looks really bad, and people are really bad at statistics and probabilities and all that other kind of stuff. It's just not instinctual for a lot of people, including myself. I am not an exclusion to this. I also feel really bad when it's really low. Even though I have a scientific background and I should know better, my gut says it bad. My monkey brain refuses to shut up. So here we are. So yeah. So with that in mind, we could, we could play with it a little bit, in that if it skips a certain amount, we could just kind of like, boom, this will not be taken over because it's now gone too far away and it won't come back, but we'll give the impression it's because these guys stood their ground. And now we can, but kind of going to the cons now, that changes our story. Our narrative is that this person came back from the Appalachian Mountains, like hospitalized, in a small town, in a different town than this. They left that hospital and went back to their main town. That old town gets completely wiped from the map by these mimics, and that's going to be our demo, is that story. And then this one, once she starts working here, the mimics are attacking the main story here, the main town, and everyone gets taken out, and she's the last one to live. That's the narrative that we've been going forward this time. If we leave gaps and people live, we need to change that. And are we okay with changing that? Right? Do we want a story where certain people live? That it's not just the player. And if so, what we need to do as game developers need to create situations where, okay, now we need to plan for every single person on this map potentially living. Right? Because if we have an in-game where what we have like the recording of an investigator interrogating the main character because they couldn't find any bodies, this would also be the case for not only the main character, but for every other person who lived that round, right? Which could be interesting. Which could be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool to hear all the different peoples and how they would react at the end. It would. But that's also, I was going to say that's a lot of work, but is it a lot of work? It's definitely more work. But is making one additional script for every person for when they reach the end that much more work in comparison? I don't know. I don't think it's terribly that much more work on our plate, because I mean, we're gonna have a script for every person, right? That's gonna be happening. Now, the only thing that leaving gaps would do is create a code and a script situation that would make it so that they're able to defend themselves. They're able to be okay. And then comes to the idea of, do we want to give the player agency to control, and to an extent, maybe not fully, but to create gaps on their own? They're like, I want this house completely good. Do we give the player agency to have it so that it's skipped, or are we going to leave it completely to random chance that the gaps happen, and then whoever lives, lives, and whoever dies, dies? I think that kind of goes back to our effort matters discussion, right? The kind of purpose and the reasoning behind this game and what we want the people to feel, right? Because that's what we are. We are creating an experience. A game developer is a person who creates an experience for people. They create a journey. And like at the end of the day, a game is a game, right? It needs to have a it needs to be interactive. It needs to be fun. Like it needs to be fun to a degree. Like it needs to be a game in its core, and it is what we're doing. We're essentially playing like telephone in a kind of way, with a little extra details of the person on the other side might be lying, right? And so it's like it is a game fundamentally, but what really gets people to love games is the experience they have with them. It's not because Pac-Man is an amazing achievement of like that goes up against God of War on today's days, but what makes people fans of Pac-Man are getting that high score in the arcade as everyone else is cheering them on, right? And I think narrative in games is kind of one of those things where they try to create an experience through narrative, which I think does have its own merit, but there is a difference between creating a narrative through narrative's sake and creating a narrative through experience sake. When you're just making a story for it to be a story, just because there needs to be a narrative, you kind of miss the point. You want to create an experience. And when making a game, you have to decide what that experience is. What is it that drives it forward? What is it that you want people to feel and come out on the other side of? Do you want them to feel relaxed? Do you want them to feel at peace? Do you want them to feel excited to work on other things, that there's so much to do and there's so much to get finished and I can't wait to come back and work on it? Is it a different perspective on their own lives? Is it the joy of being cheered for, to be supported by a group of people that you now call friends? I think people kind of get lost in sauce a bit and they forget that's kind of the whole point. That's the whole point. That's what life is about, after all. It is a culmination of experiences, and if you want to be a part of that, then you need to think of that. So in this game, what I want people to experience is to fight the inevitable. Is to go forth and try your best, and in the face of most certain defeat, still put in the work and effort necessary to reach an end that you are satisfied with. At the very least that. And to try your hardest, and that know that there is purpose in meaning behind effort, even if it doesn't change the outcome at the end. Because to me, that's what life is. At the end of every life, there is death. But how you go about your life, and the decisions you make, and how it influences people, is the important part. And I think I want to have that reflected here to some degree. Where the game will end with you being the last one alive every time. But how you go about it, and the decisions you make to make that happen, and to influence the people around you in the game, in a way that you are satisfied with, that you are happy with, I think is kind of the point, you know? To answer your question, Alice, I do kind of want to give the impression that the ride or die coworker at the end and the main character kind of had a little something going on. Like, there has to be a reason, right? The reason where the ride or die stays, right? And man, Mama Toto's so slow or so tiny. Hold on, I should probably bring this back up, right? Where are you, Mama Dodo? There you are. Let's make you back to normal size. There you are. Actually, you're a little big. No, you're fine. Maybe a little less. Maybe like right here. Yeah. Because we have to think about it, right? Let's go over to the coworkers real quick while we're thinking about it. Coworkers, boop, there you are. So we have the bailer, the provider, the ex-cop, or the ride or die. That's what the 4 coworkers that we have. For those that don't know, you have 4 coworkers in the beginning of the game. As the game progresses and people like start dying off, certain people end up leaving for certain reasons, thus giving a jump in difficulty every time because you have an increase in calls coming in until eventually you get to a point where you get more calls than you could possibly make the decisions for, and you start losing control of the situation until finally there's nothing, right? Yes. You'll find that there's a good amount of costumes that you can change Mama Dodo into. I make a costume for different things for her. So like different games that we play, things like that. The duck is what I use for game dev for rubber duck debugging because I felt like that was fitting. But y'all, I give y'all agency to change however you see fit. So you're welcome to change to whatever you're curious about. And I also have on my Discord of all like the museum of Mama Dodo for every single like costume I have ever made for her. and yeah, no, it's I think we're like 20 something costumes at this point. It's kind of crazy. But yeah. But yeah, no, so the ride or die. So we have to give a reason why the coworker rides or dies, right? So the bailer, so like Mama Dodo, so on the bottom, like I am the idealist, a paleomancer, right? So I speak through Mama Dodo, an undead dodo. So the person that you see on the bottom right is named Mama Dodo. I, the idealist, is speaking through her. Until I can make my model. At the very least, where I can get that model made. I'm not good with figuring out who nowadays. No, you're good. You're fine. So I am, a paleomancer. He, him, pronouns. And then I am speaking through Mama Dodo, who is a dodo, is the one you actually see. And she goes by she, her. So it is just simply, you can think of Mama Dodo as I'm going to put living in major quotations, megaphone or microphone. You're able to communicate and connect with me through her. Yeah, I know. I have a decent amount of them at this point, and I need to catch up on. I need to catch up on all those damn videos first. I swear. But yeah. Okay, so before I go into detail for what the coworkers are, we'll have a quick commercial ad break, etc. And I'll see y'all in 3 minutes. See y'all in a second. I was talking while muted. Good thing I realize now, and not when the ad break ends, because that would have been embarrassing. Something. I'm so smart and funny. Especially when I try to make a joke on the spot. Boy. I don't remember what I was talking about. Obviously wasn't important. Alright, welcome back. Got myself some water. We should be good to go. I ain't doing all that exercise today. I'm tired. I think the only time actually I've ever streamed in which I didn't do the exercise redeem stuff. But I recently moved, so I could take a break. I'm still sore, okay? Anyway, so coworkers. So the coworkers represent spikes in difficulty in the game as far as gameplay goes. The narrative of it is that you have 4 coworkers that eventually leaves for different reasons. The first is, I just looked at you and looked up and there was a phrase, making things worse. Oh man. Making things worse. I mean, that's just, you know what? That's actually really funny. Let's let me just, yeah, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna save this. Making things worse. And now, browse. I like that a lot. Plaster that on my forehead. That's good. I like this. I like this a lot. Oh, I might make this a redeem, dude. This is funny. Just plant it right above the head. Oh gosh, because we have like sound alert stuff, but this is one where I'm keeping this for the rest of the stream. I don't care. This is good. This is funny. Anyway. So the first one that we have is the Baylor. So this is the guy who just has this job. They're in college. Well, good. Well, I'm glad. I was able to make you laugh, my guy. You know, some days can be rough, and the only thing that I can really do is give at least some level of respite for y'all in a tough day, even if it's just listen to my rambling. Yeah. How do you like it? How do you like it, Dragon? Oh gosh, it's funny. So anyway, the Baylor is the one who's like, they're in like college. They are barely paying attention. They're just there for the paycheck, right? They're just there to get some money. They're helping people, which is important, but like he's not there to any bigger reason than just to get the money. So when things go south, he's the first one to leave. He's like, no, y'all don't understand. People are dying. There's something weird going on. I'm not going to stay here. This is classic horror movie trope situation. I'm not going to be here for that. And he leaves, right? With the intention that he dies, right? Like that is the assumption. It is never confirmed that he dies. Maybe we will. Maybe it will be like his house or something was destroyed or something. We could go that. We did someday. Yeah, no, like it could be rough. Could be rough. It would be more proper. Yeah. Listen, you could probably get Monday to be shit day, but I think that's about it. I think most people would agree with that for Monday, certainly. And then we have the provider. You would have a person who, as the day continues to get worse, or the night continues to get worse, and things become more and more stuff. It sucks. Monday's the only one that doesn't change. That's funny. So after the first guy leaves, things get more, calls coming in faster. But for the most part, it's still manageable. Then eventually we continue losing things, and then if we lose a specific, I wouldn't say specific house, maybe it will be a specific house, but the provider, the person, your coworker, will get a call from her own house from her own kid, telling her that someone's breaking in. And like at this point, people understand that the calls can be tricks, and she knows, like, hey, this like may be a mimic trying to get me to go back home, but there's no way that I'm not gonna go, right? And there's no way that we would like be able to convince her of not going. She has to. Her kid called, right? It's not gonna happen. So that's how you lose your second person. Things increase even more. Now things are starting to become a lot more difficult to kind of like handle. You're not losing as far as like you're not losing calls, but it's kind of getting to that point where now you're gonna have to be a little bit more timely. The third one is the one that I've kind of gone back and forth on, but for now this third one is ex-cop. Now, this one was a guy who used to be a cop on the force, but did something that made it so that he had to be taken off the force and then essentially put or reassigned to be a 911 operator. And he has been very like disgruntled ever since, right? And like he's like, I could do better out there kind of guy. And after you lose a certain amount of police cars, which by the way, the consequence of getting it wrong as far as the call on the other end being a person or not is you lose those vehicles of those people that you sent, right? Is he a corn cop? You mean like a corn on a cob? Is that the joke? Or am I stupid? I may also just be stupid. Like, that doesn't have to be the reason, but but acorn, yeah, like I'm sorry, I don't get it. What? Okay, the nut. All right, no. He's not an acorn. Why would he be an acorn? I'm so confused. I get acorn, but I don't understand why you would ask that. I mean, that's a pretty close thing to an acorn. Acorn cop? All right, hold on. All right, I'm Googling it. 1 second. Let's see here. Acorn cop. Oh my gosh. Acorn cop. Whoa, hold on. Oh. A Florida deputy mistakenly fired his weapon multiple times at a handcuffed black man in a patrol vehicle, believing the sound of a falling acorn on the car was a gunshot. Whoa. Oh. Honestly? Yeah. Yeah. No, that would do it. That would. Yeah. No, that would. We could make it that. That we can say that. We can say he shot an unarmed person due to an acorn. Well, it landed on the car. Which, to be fair, an acorn landing on a car hood is very loud. especially if it's like a really big tree. So like, I'm not defending the guy. I'm not. He fired 7 times. Like, I'm not defending him, but at the same time, an acorn can be loud. So yeah, we can say that it was essentially that, right? We can even put it exactly that if we want. But the idea is he messed up severely. Innocent people got hurt, and instead of being fired, he was reassigned as a 911 operator. And then now that we lost a certain amount of police officers, he believes that he could do more good out there than in here. So you lose a 911 operator, but you gain a police car. Right? So it's kind of like one of those things where it got a lot more difficult, but you have more resources. So it's kind of like a give and take kind of situation. Be loud. Yeah. But now, like, the whole point I'm leading up to is that you have your 4th person, right? You have your 4th person that we named Ride or Die. This is the person up until the end of the game is there with you the entire time until the very last moment when you are alone. This person shows up. There's a video of it. I don't know if I want to watch it, to be quite honest. I feel like I'm just gonna get mad. I try to avoid police videos in general because I'm just gonna get upset. I'm just gonna get angry. I'm just gonna get mad. But no, I believe you. I believe you. Like, I was so confused. So I good reference, first of all. Sorry I didn't get it, but good reference. So the idea with the Ride or Die at the very, very end, when you've reached the point of no return, it's more humorous. It's a meme. Okay. Hey, Starbeast, how you going? How you doing? Good. We're discussing if we want to add the Ride or Die coworker. Do we want to give the impression that there's like a bit of romance between the main character and the Ride or Die? Because we have to give a reason why the Ride or Die coworker, who stays until the very end of the game, until he takes that call to the bathroom and then secretly gets replaced, like, he has to have a reason to stay. Like, the bailer leaves immediately because he doesn't care. He values his life over the job, which is fair. The second one leaves because her kid called saying someone broke in and she has to go to them, which is very fair. The ex-cop... Oh! Let's raise this a little bit. There we go. Yeah, like right here. Perfect. The ex-cop does it so that, like, he was just looking for the excuse to go back on the force again, which is less fair, and why this is the weakest one. Of these, this is the weakest one where I'm like, if we find a better thing to do, we'll replace this guy. Yeah, this is Vulture Mama Dodo. This is based off of the vultures on Rain World. This is Martha, which, you know, y'all have named Martha. Exceptionally filling name. You should be taller, like a lot more neck. Just all the neck in the world. Just super tall neck. Unfortunately, I'm only limited within a confined space as far as the Vieto tube stuff, so I couldn't make it super long. I'm definitely out of the whole Dodoverse. Yeah, I mean, the beginning and end of it is all the different costumes for Mama Dodo are Mama Dodo in different realities, right? There's a BioShock Mama Dodo, there's all these other different kinds of stuff, so it's just different versions or different channels of who she is, or representations of her, right? I'm tempted to draw extra long Martha Dodo. Do it, Dragon. Put that in the art Discord. Is Dodoverse canon that there are different Mama Dodos in different realities that are represented? I think so. There's also Genius, Millionaire, Playboy, Philanthropy. Not yet. But if you save up your channel points, you can recommend it. There's a handful of recommendations that I still need to draw. Including a fridge Mama Dodo, by the way. I would just draw Martha so long the head is just off the page. It's just neck. What is this long elk from Inscription? just neck. That would be really funny though. Actually, it would be a really funny redeem too. It was like just a redeem to like extend the neck, and then suddenly you just see Martha's head just extend off the screen, and it just keeps going and going and going and going. And then it loops back around. That would be funny. Granted, this one was supposed to be the first one that I tried in Live 2D. And like have it be not animated, but you know, physics engined. Right? Page full of neck curling around on a sheet. That is almost cursed. Where it's just like almost like it's just 2 lines. That's fair. Did you put it on Discord yet? It's like, damn, that was fast. Is it purple? That's the question. If it's not purple, I don't know if it's Mama Dodo. That's what I'm saying. I don't know whose neck it could have been. It could be anyone's neck. It could be a giraffe's neck. Oh gosh. Evil Mama Dodo. Evil neck. Mama Dodo twin? What would Mama Dodo's evil twin be? Like Creepy Dave? Wait, why does that sound familiar? Who's Creepy Dave? Interesting. A vulture? Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm gonna Google. Let's me Google. Creepy Dave. Creepy Dave. Google him on YouTube? Oh, he's on YouTube. Interesting. Yeah, I see the little vultures thing. Alright, I'll check him out. It's just a meme that was born from the videos one day. Okay. Mama Dodo, but replaced? Y'all talk about replacing Mama Dodo up in here? What's wrong with y'all? Don't you love your Mama Dodo? How dare you? And why yellow? Is it Mama Duck? By the shifters? Oh, like in our game? It's like it's been replaced by a mimic. Oh gosh. Funny stuff. Anyway. Ride or die. Right or die. They're a culprit, so I mean shift I picked up what you were putting down. Yellow is the contrast to purple? Is it? I guess, maybe? So I guess if I inverse imaged Mama Dodo, we would get evil Mama Dodo. So I guess the orange would become blue, and then the purple would become yellow. So it would be yellow, miasma, blue eyes. It's kind of creepy. Yeah. It's Wawa Dodo. I like that actually. Wawa Dodo is evil Mama Dodo. You turn it for W for Wombo. It was just Mama Dodo looking right. It's just, yeah, it's just a normal actual. You know what? Can we make evil Mama Dodo just a hyper realistic dodo? Like photo realistic, took a picture of it, just transposed on the screen Dodo. No? Okay. I understand. Okay, never mind. But I do like Wawa Dodo. I think that is really funny. Are you gonna take a picture of a dodo? You know, I'll just go outside and just pick it in their natural habitat. You know, as they would. Just like in the olden days. No, instead it would just be more like a picture, like a painting. Any photos of dodos? Unfortunately, we do not. We do not have it. But that doesn't mean that a lot of the drawings don't look like hyper-realistic, right? Certainly not the way I've drawn it, right? Let's put it that way. More realistic than I am currently capable. Well, not, I wouldn't say capable, but what I have been drawing her as. Oh, man. Well, most jokes get over my head, so I also like it. Gosh. You posted Evil Mama Dodo? Alright, hold on. Let me check it out. Where is Evil Mama Dodo? In memes? Evil Mama Dodo? What is this? Can I show it on stream? Who drew this? I mean, if you did that this quickly, that would be wild. Hold on, let me show y'all. Look at this. This is an angry Dodo. Look at this. I'm not seeing any like thing where I would be like, oh, it's definitely AI. Yeah. Well, I mean, we have a signature here. Solo_P. Looks like it's theirs. Looks like they drew it in December. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if we could find them. Solo P songs. Solo P Dodo. Didn't pop up. Oh, here we go. Here it is. That Dodo. My attempt at drawing a realistic Dodo. I like it. All right, that Dodo. Good job. Boop. And boop. Okay. More like sinister. Unfortunately, the links won't work in Twitch. Twitch is very anti-link. I mean, I know for obvious reasons, but the bots still get away with it, so I don't know. It's just worth trying. May have posted a cursed Dodo. This is that they make realistic Minecraft mobs. I know what y'all are talking about. Just try my best to make as realistic one as humanly possible. I don't know. I don't know if I have it in me. I don't know. I could certainly try though. I think it would be a cursed Mama Dodo. If I actually attempted and was at least somewhat successful in making a realistic Mama Dodo, which is essentially just a very real looking dodo that happens to be purple. Evil Mama Dodo is just an Ark Survival evolved purple dodo. That's true. Granted, wait, if it's Evil Mama Dodo, do we still want her purple or do we want her yellow? Do we want inverse colors too? Or is the evil just like the realistic thing for it? You know what I mean? Oh gosh. Oh, we're gonna go back to sitting. I don't feel like standing no more. Yellow Evil Mama Dodo. Oh gosh. I also have to figure out what we're gonna do this Saturday too. I know I'm getting distracted and I apologize for that, but I have no idea. Oops, sorry. I have no idea. I mean, we've been playing Look Outside for the longest time. Maybe we'll go back to Rain World? I was having a lot of fun with Rain World. A part of me kind of wants to do like... sounds reasonable color. Yeah. Oh, you know what? We'll just we'll just do this. There we go. Look, evil Mama Dodo. Look, so evil. So evil. Evil Mama Dodo. Evil. You play Red Dead Redemption 2? Well, I would need like something that doesn't involve me spending a shit ton of money. Ooh, wait. I did buy Far Cry 5 a long while ago. Maybe I think what I'll do is that I'll go into y'all's recommendations. I'm gonna go into y'all's recommendations in Discord and be like, hey, and then we'll pick something out from there. And if it's something that I already own, then perfect. You advocate for Rain World? Yeah, I would like to finish Rain World. I think it would be a fun game to finish, especially since like we haven't even gotten to like the DLC part yet, because the DLC is the cat, but in order to play the cat, the slug cat, you have to beat the game once. So it's kind of like, well, right? That could be fun. You can just play. You can play Just Dance. No, I don't think I'm gonna do that. Dude, they didn't allow me feed them. That was so evil. Geese are more evil. Yes, geese are actually like from hell. I'm pretty convinced that the Cerberus wasn't a like dog or wolf. It was just geese. It would be about equivalent. Geese Mama Dodo with devil horns. That's funny. Sir Geeses. Geese Mama Dodo with horns is really funny. Evil Mama Dodo is just a yellow goose with horns. Oh gosh, that's really funny. They have teeth on their freaking tongues, man. It's wild. Cerberus is a good doggo. That is 100% true. Yellow dodos are an arc? Oh. Wait. What made them yellow? We're not talking about, what was it, Dodo Rex or whatever it's called? Because I know there's like different variants of dodos, but as far as my farming dodo days, I only saw the normal ass ones. Just normal dodos that I totally didn't knock them out with a rock and force-fed berries. Paint? Oh. We should probably play Ark at some point, shouldn't we? That feels on brand for what we do, right? We should play Ark. Evil Dodo could be a goose in a costume of a dodo. Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. Mama D-Rex. Yeah, we'll just spawn in a Dodo Rex that's like purple, and it's like, okay, this is Mama Dodo. She's with us the whole time. Is that how Antilles met Mama Dodo? No. No, it is not. But it is my experience in Ark, tell you that much right now. And dying a lot in the swamp. The swamp is a really bad place. I really don't like the swamp. Oh, a dodo army would be really funny. But I just haven't had the interest to go back to it ever since they changed the whole kibble thing. That was my whole thing. I loved kibble. I loved the cycle of like getting specific eggs from specific dinosaurs that would then make specific kibble to make the next thing on the list. easier to tame, and then you just go up the list and just have everything. I just really liked it. I posted Long Martha in art posting. Oh, hold on. Before I get to it, can I share it on stream or no? Do you give me your permission? Oh gosh, what is that in memes? What the hell is that? Look at him. Look at this man. He's so long. My God. I think we can make it longer. I think we can keep going. We have the technology. We have. But do we have the strength and the fortitude? Oh, okay. Go for it. I like it a lot. It's good. Yeah, long elk is exactly what I'm thinking of too. Bro, I loved Inscription. Inscription was so fun. Oh, I see the yellow dodo. Oh wow, it actually looks pretty good. The yellow looks good on him. I'll give him that. Oh, it's the body more neck. more neck, all the neck. But I liked the long elk in the sense of like, you can, if you make a copy of it, you see the head and it's just this creepy skeleton head. So funny. Yeah, I did. It actually looks good. The dodo rocks the yellow. What if we just made it all neck? What about the puppet? What puppet? Endless. Endless neck. Oh, that one. Oh, I did not like that. I did not like that puppet. That almost needs to go in curse memes. You know what I mean? The other end of the endless elk is infinity. It is the thing which should not be seen, a name that shall not be muttered. It is beyond understanding, comprehension. It has been there before time and be there long after. The long elk. It is only one neck of many, of countless others. The endless elk. There are no strings on me. There's also his butt. What? Oh, and also his butt. It's like, oh, and then, yeah, and then also, you know, they have to, it has a digestive system. Yeah. Honestly, I think it would be more terrifying if there was a endless butt. I feel like the butt is end, but the neck is endless. I think the Hydra would be scarier if it was elk. If the heads of the Hydra were long elk heads with like the skull and the antlers, and it's just endless antlers with long necks, that's more terrifying. 100%. Won't your mama know she's a snake? No. What do you mean? She's a vulture. What makes you think she's a snake? Or you think she's an all neck? To be fair, snakes are all necks, so you're not 100% wrong. They'll catch each other with the horns. Well, I think it would be kind of extra creepy if like the horn, yeah, like they would catch and then they would eat each other, and then because they ate each other, they would then double each one, thus becoming more problematic. Like it would be self-propagating, not propagating, but self-duplicating. So it would be like this mass of like elk that was half fighting itself and half eating itself, and yeah, I think that's not terribly effective, but certainly creepy. I'm gonna do like the guard dog from Undertale where it just goes so high it comes down. Out of the corner right now. She don't slither, she's a vulture. You have a puppet Mama Dodo or evil Mama Dodo now? No. No. Well, I mean, we already have doll Mama Dodo. Can't you just be okay with doll? Granted, a puppet would be kind of fun to have an custom interaction with y'all. Like, make it so that you can control her a bit. That would be kind of cool. Where it's like, you can kind of move her around. Yeah. You can kind of have a bit of a dark impression too to it. We could play with it. In Evil Mama Dodo, you would have to come up with a decision, because we've come up with a lot of different versions of Evil Mama Dodo. So whoever redeems it, it will be the one to define what Evil Mama Dodo would look like. Right? You would have to be the one to decide, like, okay, we're talking goose with Mama Dodo costume. Dude in Dodo costume, shitty matter costume. I mean, that's just one of our other costumes that we have. that's just mechanic Mama Dodo right there. Like a harpy costume from second Witcher game. I made a mechanic Mama Dodo for Uncle Chop's Rocket Shop. I don't know if you've heard of that game, but it's essentially the same thing as the Fox main character, but Dodo head, and it's cursed. It's funny, but it's cursed. I haven't played the second Witcher game. No. I only played Witcher 3 and all the DLCs with that. But I haven't seen the Harpy costume for the second Witcher game. No. Do you would you recommend it? Because I haven't heard good things about pre-3 Witcher 3. I did not hear. All right, let's see it. Let us see. Harpy costume Witcher 2. What the hell is that guy? Oh no. That man has been feathered. Okay, so mine is less. I don't know if it's less or more cursed, honestly. Hold on, actually, let me show you. Let me show you one real quick. Here we go. This is mechanic Mama Dodo, by the way. And here is the feather. This is it right here. This is it. This is the dude. You can kind of see it here. There you go. That's funny. Imposter Mama Dodo. Imposter Mama Dodo feels like it should just be like from the Amogus universe. You know what I mean? It should just be a purple suit with like maybe a little bird on his head or something. I don't know. Or we could go complete horror and do like... Well, I mean, Imposter Mama Dodo would probably be infected Mama Dodo now. That's what we... well, that was the original design for infected Mama Dodo, is that she looked normal until she spoke. You could play stick with it? Stick with what? Zombie Mama Dodo or Skeleton Mama Dodo for Halloween? Maybe. Actually, speaking of which, hold on. Do we have a redeem to bring... I feel like we have a redeem to bring back Zombie Mama Dodo. I feel like we do. Outfit redeem. Revive Infected Mama Dodo. We do. I'll show y'all real quick if you want. Or Prosto, I think you might be the only one who hasn't seen Infected Mama Dodo. Let's do this. Boop. Alright, let's see here. Replace image. Let's see, where are you? Google the game, stick with it. You mean, that's not the Bennett Foddy one, is it? Or am I thinking of a different game? You know? It's not stick with it. It's something close to it, though. Where are you? I'm so sorry. Okay, we're going so far. Okay. Way down. Way back. Way to the previous possibilities of costumes long past. Here you are. We want... This is eyes open, mouth closed. There we go. Then eyes open, mouth open. This is the usual process, by the way. Then we have the first bit. Boom! Infected Mama Dodo. Wahahaha. And then mouth closed, eyes closed. Oh, what was it updated with? Oh yeah, we got new animals, didn't we? Did they fix a lot of the issues that was in the first one? Because I remember a lot of people talking about it. All right, testing. Okay. All right. Okay. I think we're good. And then, so this has been redeemed. I don't want to go through the process of updating or making the whole thing as far as like streamer selection. So if you want to redeem Infected Mama Dodo, you're free to redeem any costume and then just tell me do Infected, and I will just manually do it. Because it's gonna cost the same amount of points, so it don't really matter. You know what I mean? It don't really matter. All right, we're gonna go ahead and whoop. Oh gosh. Sorry. Oh, I'm just tired today. In case you haven't noticed that I have completely lost my train of thought and focus about anything that we're doing. But maybe we can go back to check out Psychosis. That could be fun. Certainly during Halloween. Because I did enjoy it. I liked Psychosis. I think people were... I mean, a lot of the things that people were saying were valid, but I also think they were being a bit tough on it. Like, it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. So, I don't know. Stick With It is a blob rage game. Okay, so Stick With It is, I think, what I think it is. And that it's a rage game. Why do you want me to rage? Maybe I'll make that a sub goal or something, and then it will be we'll do a single rage game as a sub goal. Maybe if and when we do like a what do they call it? I was gonna say triathlon, but that is not it. You know what I mean? Subathon. You know, we'll do a triathlon for stream, which honestly probably would do pretty well. But I ain't about to put my body through that. I would probably die. If I was just like, we're just gonna jump right in. Oh man, am I gonna make it? I'm sitting here and I'm like, so tired. But we got this. We could do this. Ooh. Okay. Let's see if I can wake myself up with refocusing. Okay. All right. Okay, we got this. Ride or die. Doesn't leave until the end of the day. Why does the ride or die stay? All right, Prosto. Thank you for joining us. It was wonderful having you. Have a good one. Have a wonderful day. You're not going to make it. I'm going to try, Alice. I am going to try. And if I can't, well, we'll just have an early stream. Better to have a shorter stream than a bad stream. You know what I mean? But I'm going to try my damnedest. Even if it means pushing myself further beyond. All right. Why does the ride or die stay? So the idea that has been put forward by you, Alice, they had an affair with the main character, and they had a baby. We're not going that far. I don't think we're going to go into an established relationship. Well, do we? I'm mentally exploring the idea of, it's like, okay, well, what if they did? I don't think they're gonna have a baby. Because that changes a lot of the perspectives of things. If they were in a actual committed close relationship, could have been drunken. That's true. But our character is a woman, so she would be the one with the baby, which means her priorities would be much more. We would have to change her whole thing, and not whole thing, but like how she approaches things. She would definitely be like, okay, what is my baby? Okay. And we already have somebody who's leaving because of their kid, right? I don't want to double dip. If this was something that was a lot more confirmed of a relationship that they've been together, then the guy definitely would have been driving her to from the hospital, right? It wouldn't be the other person who's going to be driving her to the hospital that then goes back to her house and is the first one to get taken, right? They would definitely have been the one. They still have the baby cooking. True. But she is coming from the hospital, right? And now if we are implying that she is pregnant and that she came from the hospital, then do we explore the idea of her losing the baby or still having the baby because of what happens, right? I don't know. I'm not convinced about the baby, Alice. I'm really not. It changes her mentality on what she should do and shouldn't do in such a way that I'm not convinced that that's the right direction we want to take her. But the idea that she, in this ride or die, have kind of been flirting that line for a while. They've been kind of going back and forth. Maybe they've been on a date or so. Maybe they've considered it. Maybe they've been out on a few dates. And maybe they've stayed the night with each other or something. Something where it's just they're trying to keep it professional, but other people know about it. We could really kind of dress it up of we know you two are kind of a thing, but they haven't taken that step of okay, we're open about it, we know, and we are moving forward, right? It's in that weird, awkward beginning relationship phase that I feel is the sweet spot where it adds a good amount of reasoning why the ride or die stays, while also not the reason why he didn't go like completely go out of his way to like bring her, right? Having an affair with their relationship that felt different to them. Got you. Do I want to add the idea that they are, one of them is having an affair with the other? That is kind of interesting. Let's kind of explore it. So we'll put, why does the ride or die stay? Because he is in a, I wouldn't say he is interested in the main character romantically. And now, how romantically? How far breakdown of the romance, right? So let's explore this, because at first I was gonna say no, right? I was gonna be like, no. We're starting to get into the realm of complicated that I don't think that kind of like distracts from the current situation. But if we're going down the realm of creating different narratives of things happening in the town, the additional narrative that maybe the guy is in a like divorcing. Let's say the guy is divorcing his ex-wife, and or maybe not, maybe it's a dead relationship or something, and then now he is trying to have a relationship with the main character, right? But now you have this big situation happening with mimics and all that other shit happening. So like, one of the things that could be not interactable, but that can kind of come out is when the ex is like calling, or like we can create a narrative involving the ex of the person that the main character is interested at work, right? Like maybe it's like he would do a lot of things for her but wouldn't value her life over his. If he didn't value his life over hers, he wouldn't still be there. Which is why we're kind of exploring the idea of romance. The specific kind, like the original romance I was thinking of, you thought of adding a priest or something related to beliefs that mimics the result of God or worship them. Yes. One of the things that we added in scripts, and on the street, boy, not home. I guess we didn't. I thought we added it to scripts. Maybe characters. No, I guess not. Maybe we just talked about it. We'll add it here. So there is a guy. The cultist. A man who sees these mimics and tries to strike a deal with them by letting him live. He will sabotage his neighbors to make it easier for them, eventually leading to him wanting to become part of the mimic group, by attempting more of a cult following / sacrifice. Yeah, we have explored this idea of this guy being like at first it was just out of desperation and survival. He was willing to throw other people under the bus, and then eventually it's just like, what if I consume their flesh? Like, what if they consume my flesh but I'm still alive? Like can I be one of them? If they've been eating people, what if I eat people? If I eat people, can I become a mimic? Like that kind of, like, truly not thinking straight kind of mentality, I think is a very, very interesting way of looking about it, right? What was I doing? Where is it? It wasn't phone calls. It was not effort matters. Hold on. Oh no, it was coworkers. There we go. Cold ending, you let people die, he asks. No, I think it's just weird things happen where the spread will be weirdly controlled. I should know I suggested this. Yeah. Yeah. So like it's not like they call us and then we are like, hey, can you let these people die? It's like no. It's more or less like we get calls of suddenly your house is being broken into in a weird way that is much more human than mimic, right? So it's more or less like if this particular guy reaches a point where he's still alive and is afraid, but especially if the broadcast system gets taken over or something, and or he like it, we can make it so that if an infected or a mimic happens in one of his neighbors in proximity, then there is a significant chance that we will then follow his story arc, which is one of cult activity. So basically the way that I want to move forward with this is that each gameplay will have like different kind of like mini narratives happening, and what determines mini narratives happening is depending who's alive at a certain point in the game. And like it can also be influenced by like certain like if the church is still up, or if the church was removed, or if the school fell, or like things like that, where it's like, oh, if this happens and then the school fell, then it will follow this narrative, right? And it's the idea of like one gameplay loop is about 3 or 4 of these kind of mini narratives happening that are triggered through a combination of randomness and specific situations, where every playthrough then feels different. The children are worse than mimics in the end. I mean, yeah, these things are going to copy children. They use people's desire to protect and help each other against them, right? It's kind of their whole shtick. We'll go ahead and go do an ad break real quick. I'm just going to run to the restroom, and then we'll be back in 3 minutes to kind of break down the romance as well. Ooh, I can last an hour. I can, and I will, and I shall, and I deal list. I am unmuted. Okay, good. That was another thing. All right. Hey, we are back. And to answer your question, Alice, what happens if you do nothing? If you do answer calls, you send anyone, you do nothing. We get what I like to call the turtle ending. The turtle ending is the ending where you don't send anyone and all the resources are completely not taken whatsoever, but you don't help anybody. You just kind of hoard your resources and you just sit there. And that will be a unique kind of ending where you hear in the distance of guns firing as people get overwhelmed regardless, and then you essentially have like one of these things coming in person and visiting you, but you can't turn and see them. You just hear them come up and whisper. So essentially it's the same ending in a way, but you know, it's through a different method because you used a different method, right? And that's definitely was something that I added fairly early on, because we need to be aware and plan for people to play the game in different ways. And if we have the indication of like, well, this is how you should play it, it's like, yeah, but how could it be played, and how can we play around that to make it either to force people's hands or to kind of reward creative ways of beating the game in different ways, right? So, okay, so the breakdown of the romance. The way that I originally had it in mind when it was brought forward for the romance between these two characters was kind of like they kind of have like a crush on each other, right? They kind of like each other. They've been kind of dancing around the idea, but neither one of them really had the confidence to like put their they didn't take the initiative for the other, right? That's the kind of thing that I wanted to kind of feel with, because if it was like a real deep relationship that was like close knit, then he would have been there during the hospital. He would have probably been the one to drive her to work that day. But I mean, that's a slight adjustment, but the current plan is that she's being dropped off by like a family member to work, and then they drive back home, where then they become the first victim of, and what starts the first domino on this game, right? And if we don't have that person dropping them off, it's kind of like the narrative gets, all right, you have a good one, Alice. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. If we don't have, like, if we just don't introduce the family member, and we just get a random call from their house and they're like, oh, that was my family member, it's less impactful. That feels like, oh, here's a person that you weren't introduced at all in the narrative, dying potentially to this thing that we have no recollection of, like not even like any kind of thing. But if we have the of this insinuation of like, oh, this person checked on us in the hospital, this is the person who drove us from the hospital to work day to day, like then it's like, oh, now they've died, now there's a lot more weight to them, right? So that's why I'm hesitant to make it like a deep relationship, because then we're going to have to kind of try to make the puzzle piece fit in you know, in that kind of way. But if it wasn't going to be romance, what would it have been? Do we make this guy a man of virtue, of responsibility? Where it's like, oh, we are the people that keep people safe. We are the captains of the ship. We don't leave until it's time. Like until the ship sinks. We go down with the ship. Do we have him be that kind of person? And a part of me wants to say yes, or he's just kind of the person that the reason he stays to the very end. He didn't have immediate family members. He didn't have like people who lived nearby that pulled him away, and he believed that where he needed to be was there and nowhere else. And then the belief of like, oh, we are the bastions of those that protect the citizens. But that feels weirdly not realistic in a weird kind of way. Or that doesn't feel human. That feels fantastical. That feels like something that you would find at a D&D campaign with the captain of the knights, the royal knights is like, yes, And it's like almost like this hero-esque kind of vibe to him, and I'm like, that's not the vibe that I get from this dude that I've imagined up to this point. It's like, this isn't the guy who's just like, we got this, like the leader. I mean, we could make him just like the head like leader, and that's why he didn't leave, is because he was like the manager. We could go down that road. Or the last person here where it was their manager, their like head person. And the reason that they stayed is a sense of responsibility, where it's like, I don't leave until y'all leave. And now that I've said that, I kind of like it. I kind of like the idea that the ride or die is the manager of the group. And he stays because he's responsible for them. So until everyone leaves, and that's why he didn't leave. And the main reason why the main player doesn't leave, by the way, is because they can't. They're in a wheelchair. And I'm not 100% sure that's enough of a reason why the person can't leave, but that's what I currently have, is that, like, they can't leave because of that. So it's like, I don't know, I'm really kind of falling in love with the idea with the person's the manager. Reason being is, like, let's put this up here. The idea of a manager being like, I can't leave until y'all leave. And then you have like these discussions where the main character can like try to convince the manager to leave. They're like, hey, I can't go anywhere. Save yourself. And the manager's like, no, I can't do that. And it's like, he's just like a good guy, you know? He's unwilling to leave a person to their death. And that feels more real to me. That feels less fantastical than just this feeling of responsibility that is just like, we are here for a purpose, and much more of like personal. That's not even like romantic in nature, right? It's just this manager isn't willing to leave behind their employee in a wheelchair to their death while he kind of lives and survives. I think that's much more like accepting of a reason, right? To me, where the other, I think I know what it is. I think it's because it's emotionally complex. I think the idea of like, not virtue signaling, but like the idea of like, you have this person who's so like feeling of responsible for their job that they're willing to die for it, feels very one-dimensional to me, where it's just like, that's all that they got going on. They don't got anything else going on. It's just the thing. But then there's another part of me that when we do it for the manager, like, the manager doesn't want to die. They don't want to die. They're just doing what they can to try to save as much people as possible. And it's like, they're conflicted. Of course they're conflicted. They're scared. They want to leave. But the idea of leaving someone else is more devastating than living. Well, not even devastating than living. He's just incapable of making that decision. It's not even a decision of like, I'm fine with the decision I've made, but instead it's like he's unable to pull the trigger. I mean, and that's essentially what it is, right? Leaving her for death so he may have a possibility of living. He was unable to pull that trigger. And I like the thing where it's like, it's a character flaw, but it's a very like understandable character flaw. Whereas the character flaw of like, I'm responsible, like, I'm the last one to be here, all of you leave, is a character flaw, but a strength as well. It makes him very admirable. And I think that's another reason why I think I dislike it. Like the dislike between the two, the comparison, is because one of them allows you to admire the guy almost like from the eyes of a hero, whereas the other one is a lot more like, not comparable, that's not the right word, but like you could put yourself in their shoes. You ask yourself, would I be able to pull the trigger? Right? And in a horror genre, though it's important to have levity and moments of strength in this kind of situations like that, but this is kind of one of those things where it's, I'm doing what I can for the people around me. And even though I'm scared, I'm going to try to take care of them. And at the very least, I'm not going to leave them behind. And I think that the difference between these two kinds of people is the difference between when you look at superheroes and then you look at civilians being heroes, right? One feels attainable. One feels more relatable. That's the word I'm looking for. One feels more relatable than the other. People don't know how to relate to heroes, really. We admire them, sure, but it has that additional relatability. So as far as the romance idea of it muddies the water a little bit. These things don't have to be mutually exclusive. They could also be in a romantic relationship. And we are getting into muddy situations where it's like, oh, it's her manager, but also a potential relationship, which exists. That's a problem that people come across in the adult world, where it's like there's a difference in status at the workplace, as well as a romantic interest there, and like properly going about that is very tricky, right? And I really do like how the whispers of it adds additional intrigue and potential reasoning behind things, right? So like, I like the idea of what if instead of there being an actual romance, because he is the manager and doesn't want to leave a person to die for a chance to live. Because I also like, I like the call to their loved one for both characters. It's a breaking character for someone who's so confident on one hand, but it's also like a moment of acceptance for the other character. I like the idea of perhaps there is a rumor that the main character and the ride or die hooked up. So instead of there actually being a relationship that is confirmed, that is very much moving things forward, instead you have workplace drama. You have people assuming, like, spreading rumors that they have been together. And maybe that we could play into that of, like, that's why she got into an accident and still had her, and didn't work for a long time and still had her job. The reason that she still had her job, the reason that that spot wasn't replaced, was because the manager, which job would have been job to replace her position, didn't do it, is because they were in a relationship. And that also, if we can play around with the rumors without confirming nor denying anything, that gives the players an interesting perspective of what could be true. And this is a game based around that in a lot of ways, because we want to play with red herrings, right? We want to play with assumptions. We don't want things to be as straightforward as they seem. So creating a narrative that, depending on what you believe and what you don't believe, changes the overarching story. Believing in the ride or die, being in a relationship with the main character, will change how you see that character, as compared to somebody who is just doing it out of not willing to pull the trigger on letting someone else die for the possibility to live, right? Do we also want to sprinkle on the idea of that maybe he puts out up front, right? Maybe the reason that people are saying that they hook up is because the manager does put the airs on, saying, like, we're here to help the people, that's our job, that's our duty, very much duty bound. But then when he's around the main character, he lets those walls down a bit, and you kind of see the scared person behind the mask of, like, I'm just trying to keep people together. So you kind of have like a combination of all of them, right? You have the over the top duty above anything else personality that tries to hold people together as the leader of the group. You have a person just trying to keep people together, but just a normal guy after the mask falls. And then, even though it isn't confirmed nor deny that they have had a relationship and they've hooked up, at the very least, to the putting down the mask around the main character does imply, at least to a certain degree, that he feels comfortable around her, that he feels safe putting his mask off around her, which does give merit to the rumors, but doesn't confirm the rumors. But I don't know if I'm trying to pile on too many different personality traits onto one person. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to make these people multifaceted, but there's a certain degree where then now we're starting to get into the realm of this is just a person with multiple personalities. I don't think it's unusual. I don't think it's unusual to say that people put up fronts at work. They have a work mask. I don't think that's unusual to say in the slightest, or explore for that matter. I don't think that's far-fetched. I don't think that's unrealistic. I think people do put up a front at work because they're trying to be professional. And in a situation like a 911 operator, and being a manager of a 911 operator, being kind of like this resilient, can take on anything we're here for a duty, as long as you do what you need to do, everything's going to be fine kind of mentality would excel in that kind of environment. It would make sense in that kind of environment. So we have, because he is interested in the character romantically, because he is a manager doesn't want the person to die, a chance to live, because he is bound by honor and will not leave and will sink with the ship, as is his duty. These are the three. These are the three that we are looking and or exploring the idea of. Because I don't know. I'll think it over. I'll think it over. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below, or in Discord, or I don't care. Whatever you want to put it in. I should probably ask for engagement to a certain degree. Which of these options would make sense for somebody to stay during a essentially everyone's dying mimic spread, where it's like, okay, why would they stay? Would it because they are interested in the main character romantically? It is because they are a manager and don't want to leave the person to die for a chance to live, or because he is bound by honor and will sink with the ship as his duty. Would it make sense for any of these? All of these? Any combination of the three? You decide. Next time on Dodo Makes a Horror Game. Oh gosh. Yeah. So, do I have the mental capacity to think about the mimic spread again? We can try. Where is... So, gaps, right? The positives and negatives of gaps, right? I would at least like to get to a decision of the gaps. That's what I would like to do. I think of anything that I would like to get done, even though we got very much side. I didn't think that was going to take that much time, but it did. The gaps that are in the spread. Do we want it? Do we not want it? Why would we want it? Why would we not want it? I do like the idea. I do like the idea of the main character being the last one alive and every single house has been taken over. I think we could... Oh, okay, let's see here. Let's think here. And let's think in the eye. Let's go into the minds of the mimics. Right? Let's go into the minds of the mimics. Why would we leave houses unattacked? Again, we can paint it narratively as far as like, oh, they were able to defend themselves and now they're not able to get in anymore, right? But that does give the impression of like, oh, that means there is a way to keep them away. If we find out the way that they are able to be protected, we can do that for everybody, right? It's like, okay, board up your windows, do this, get some guns, get some ammo, right? And then it's like, oh, does it stop? And when the night ends, can they leave? Do they leave? Do they win? Do they live? Are they chased? Are they chosen? Because these mimics have a cycle of predation, right? They stalk They choose a target, they stalk to learn it, they learn their behaviors and then once they reach a certain point, they ambush, replace, do some use what they learn to try to get as many people to help as possible, killing them, and then eventually, once that's kind of died down and it feels that it is time to pick a new target, chooses one of the new targets in the vicinity, and the cycle starts over again, right? And in none of those kinds of situations would I say is like, why would they leave a house untouched? Is there a way for them to know which house that they've been before and not been before? Are they that intelligent? I think I'm trying to decide if what determines them not coming back is the fact that they remember, or the fact that there isn't anyone there to stalk, right? It's like, if an animal eats all the food in an area, does it avoid that area because it remembers it ate all the food, or the fact that there isn't any food, right? I would say they're smart enough to know where they've been before. I think they can use, they are environmentally aware. From what we've been able to create so far, these things use height advantage. These things use people as shields. Like people, like these things know how to manipulate their environment to get an advantage. And because of that, because they're able to take advantage of the environment, they would probably have an understanding of environment to a specific degree, so they would probably be able to remember. So if they remember where they go, and then where they decide to go is different, would they then be like, oh, let's go back to where we were before? I am a completionist, right? Do they have the desire to be like, well, we might have skipped this before, but let's go back. We may have missed one. Like, oopsie daisies. Or are they more systematic? Or should this be less random and more systematic in the sense of like, well, we're actually going to go in this specific route. I would like to stay with random as much as possible because it's what allows replayability. But with that being said, it's hard to say. It really is. Up to this point, narratively speaking, they have only chosen one to stalk into a new area. And then there's also the possibility that we have a separation between people's experiences and what is canon. Right? We can say the canon lore is that she's the last one alive. The actual lore, like what your people's experience could be, not that. Right? There's like more stuff. More survivors. No. Because if we give leeway for having survivors, what's going to happen is that, especially if we're going to not give the player agency to choose who the survivors are and who's not, is like, oh, I want to see this person's last moments. I'm trying to get this last moments, but it's all random and I have no control over it. And that sucks. that really sucks. So I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you have zero control, but I also don't like the fact that you have control. So cons. Don't like giving people ability to choose which house to save, but also don't like how people have no control over it. Right? So if we don't like the ability of giving people agency and also not giving them agency, then it sounds to me that the actual thing is flawed. I think because here's the thing, the manipulation of not all locations are created equal could also be in the same category as the gaps that we gave, right? The people survived, so now they defended themselves, has increased the likelihood or decreased the likelihood of that house being taken over without your control, right? Because there's not every single situation is going to be called to the police. Not every single one. There's going to be situations like if in the situation that we've come up with before, where it's like a neighbor coming over, and it's a trusted neighbor. They're really close, so there's no reason the announcement telling people not to let people in that wasn't turned on yet. So the parent, like the family that lives there, opens the door to a mimic, instantly dies. 911 was not called. Why would it be? Unless there was enough people who were able to hide and then grab the phone and call, then maybe. But if instead of it being like a family house, what if it was just like a single dad, or a single not even dad, a single man who lived in this house, and they open the door to their neighbor that they get along with really well, and then they open the door and then get killed, right? 911 would not have been called. And which means that you have no indication that that place would have been taken over by a mimic, right? Thus eliminating the assumption of every first call from a location is a person. Because it doesn't, or later on, it doesn't make any sense to suddenly get a call there, right? We can play along with that. So because not every situation that we're going to be dealing with involves them notifying you what is happening, sometimes you only get contacted after like 3 or 4 other things that has happened in the background has happened. And you can kind of put 2 and 2 together and figure it out, but as far as it being put in front of you, it's not always that, right? So we can change the weight, right? We can change the weight of things, and we probably will. I don't think we're gonna not do that. I think we're actually gonna change the weight. So with that in mind, with the idea that both the spread of the distances is directly related to the difficulty of the mimic, so this little bit here will get, this will like be the first level, and then out here will be like the second level, and then out here will be the third level, and it's just like 60 30 10, or even like 80 20 0 for level 1, and then like level 2 is 70 30 10, then 60 40 20, then 50 30 20 or something like that, right? Or we can even flip, like we can really mess with it where the potential spread will solve the problem of this not properly hopping. It'll just switch from it got stuck to now, even though there's a 50% chance, there's no selection, so now it's going even farther, right? And we can go down the route of distance from the current location to the next location would increase the amount of time it took before things before the call comes. So it would take like travel time in mind. But I think if we go down that road, it will give too much of a hint of what is real and what isn't, in the fact that, like, oh, it was too short of amount of time. This is going to be a real person, right? There is a bit of a disbelief though, where it's just like, holy shit, they got there quick. How did it get from here all the way over here, and then nothing? No one saw anything. One, no one saw anything, and two, it happened immediately, right? And I think that plays more into the idea of, as long as we do, like, there's a cooldown period, then there's like an acceptable amount of stuff where it's like, okay, it's either we can give the impression that there's more than one mimic, we can give the impression that for closer houses it was stalking around a little bit longer, whereas if it was farther houses, it beelined for it and then just went in like immediately, right? So like we can play with the story of it, of distance. Instead of changing the actual time to make it more predictable, we can have distance be more of a measure of a change of narrative of what would have happened at that location. That does get a little bit into scary territory of how many different variations of these narratives we want to go about for each one of these houses. If we're going like, oh, not only do we have all the things from all the other people that may be influencing it, we now have a it was farther away versus close by situation to also implement. But that we'll tackle that in the, let's see here. Let's scripts, mini narratives, narrative notes, perhaps have slightly certain narratives be usable for places when the previous house attacked was closer versus farther away, and it's like a much more wait and stalk versus charge in and attack, right? So yeah, mimic spread. So I think decision, remove gaps in spread. I think that this is our decision. We will remove the gaps in spread. We'll make it so that they are then they're able to be utilized by either additional mimics or the different distances related to the difficulty, as well as locations are not all created equal. And we will manipulate the almost like resistance to mimic spread, similar to like almost like armor in like RPG games, where it's like, oh, okay, there's the idea of like the school, like these houses until the, like, if these in the location give these houses almost like an armor buff of being chosen, where it's like, oh, not when you do the selection, you take into account not only the percentage of which one you're going to go for, but also take into account of every location has their own resistance of being chosen that gets added to the percentage. So like everything in this bubble here is not created equal, right? Well, I mean, actually this one probably would be, but like this bubble, if like this house was in here, choosing these would be a lot easier. Like, what is the weight that we almost like barrier buildings, whereas just like the barrier buildings almost take aggro in a way, where it's just like, oh, these big ones would be more appealing depending, right? And we can also have situations where narratives that may happen or things like that would influence other buildings. So remember the cult situation that we had before, where it's like a guy who like sabotaged other people. Okay, well now, like, let's say it was this guy was the cultist. He now made it so that everything in this vicinity had a significant reduction in their ability to ward off things by like 20% or something. Suddenly you get to like, oh, it would, of course he would go after this one, or oh, what would be usually a really difficult place to take over, suddenly they're able to get it, and that's because this person's been sabotaging. So I think playing with that is a lot more interesting and a lot more deep and less complex than creating gaps in that. I think it does make it predictable in the sense of like, oh, they skipped this house, so of course they're going to go back to it. But we could potentially hide it. The fact that which houses have been taken and which houses haven't. I originally wanted to show it so that way it's a lot more, you know, like phone line's been cut kind of deal. But I think as long as it's like the houses that have been taken over but didn't call 911, I don't think I want it to be X'd. I think they'll be permanently not X'd, and you don't know if they've just been skipped or if they've been taken over and they just didn't call 911. So I think as long as we have more than one potential reason why they would go back, it would still give like, oh, okay, they're still gonna do it. And I think by the time they're actually going back and filling in the leftover houses, we've kind of reached a point in the narrative of like, oh, we can't keep up anymore. And I think that's, no one really cares at that point. At that point, we're saying our prayers to whatever deity we believe in. We're making calls, the last calls to people that we care for. So I think that checks out. Okay. So it's what we did to do today. What did we do? This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna add this. Okay. This is what we're gonna add. Boom. This is gonna be our what did we do? And we're gonna do 20th of May. We decided on that there decided not to leave gaps in imposter spread. We decided to, oh no, we didn't decide, but we put together potential reasonings for ride or die to remain, considering combining reasonings. And I think the last thing that we did was for scripts. Added cults. Added the cultist to scripts. Added note to scripts for considering add a note to scripts for considering differences caused by short versus long distance mimic invasion. That's what we did today. Okay. And I think this will help keep track as far as like what we do and when we do it, and hold ourselves a little more accountable, because we're getting distracted a lot, even though I don't mind it as much, especially if we want to try to get this out by October. If we need to have dev more often, fine. Then again, I have so many priorities and so many different things, I swear, man. Alright. But I think we're going to call it here. We're going to call it a little early. I managed to last essentially an hour, so I'm happy with it. Thank you all for joining me here today. It was wonderful having you, and wonderful talking with y'all, getting y'all feedback, etc. And I will make an announcement later this week as far as what we will do Saturday. I'll probably go through the games, and I'll put it out like, maybe I'll do it Friday. I'm trying to think of when would be the good idea to like post the following week stuff. But I think maybe instead of Monday for Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, it should probably be Friday for Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday. You know what I mean? So we'll do that. So I'll release it on Friday as far as how we want to go about it. All right. Well, thank you all again. And I will see you all Saturday for some fun. So I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, and I'll see y'all next time. Take care. See ya. Bye-bye.